Oh, feels good to actually have sleeping on a Monday for once. Podcast day. Here we go. Time to get started.
Ready to explore right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, yeah. We are heroes tonight, we will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight, I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the World of Football podcast here on the Dugout Football channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic evening. As everyone will be able to say that we are on the Dugout Football channel, but unfortunately we do have no Doug on with us this evening. As everyone will probably be very much aware if you follow Doug on Twitter, unfortunately Doug found some very unfortunate news last Tuesday. I was made aware on the podcast on Monday evening when we concluded that Doug unfortunately knew about the news about his granda. The inevitable news about his granda was coming, which unfortunately became reality on Tuesday. So Doug obviously took the week out, and he is with us. He will not be with us this evening, but what our job here today is to provide all great content to you guys, and also Doug has made us extremely happy. You know, he's been very supportive to us all. We appreciate everything he's done for us, and we will make sure that we pay our respects to Doug by doing a minute's silence for his granda an hour and 34 minutes into this podcast. And we hope that we give Doug a smile and hopefully a bit of a lifted up mood in respect to what he has done for us. So Doug, all of our thoughts go out to you and to your family, and we wish you a quick recovery, and we hope that this podcast gives you a bit of a lift. And if Chad, if you would obviously send your thoughts to Doug in the chat too, please, because any support at this time is greatly needed. But to move on to the cast that we have this evening, so starting off with the regular, we have Nathan. How you doing, Nathan?
Doing great, thank you very much, Josh. What a week it has been for football, we could say. Thanks for having me on as usual, and let's get to it.
We have Jack Mack on, the Liverpool fan. He's on again. He's thankfully came in and gave me someone when I was a bit short notice in getting people. So Jack, how you doing? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me on, mate. As Nathan said, crazy week of football, which we'll discuss tonight, mate. But pleasure as always, mate.
making his very rare appearance on the podcast, but he's here in person. It's BPL. He's normally in and out of the chat, but today he's here in person to tell us about his beautiful research knowledge that he likes to do. So, Paul, welcome back. How you doing?
Very good, thank you, Josh, and thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been a crazy week, as the guys have said. Coming up to the business end of the season, Champions League, playoffs, all that sort of stuff. So, looking forward to getting into it this evening.
I would come to Reese, but Reese has decided he's decided to disappear. So we'll come back to Reese whenever he's here. So we'll go to George, who is absolutely still adamant that he wants the Glazers out. So, so George, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me as always, Josh, and really glad to be on this channel again, and really looking forward to the show. So thank you very much.
And as I said, no, Rich Reese is here. He's just decided he's just given up. He just decided not to bother with us. But as I said, there's a lot of people in here. I appreciate for all you coming, because obviously due to the social media blackout, there was no post on Twitter about it. So it's good to see everyone's looking at the channel and being aware. So hello Seamus, hello Helly, good evening. We'll get on to Emirates Villarreal later on. Hello Pete.
When am I ever late?
Oh, look, he finally makes an appearance. Obviously, Doug is in the chat for everyone who is wondering. He will still be with us. The United Way, hope you're doing well. Jersey Boy, welcome. How you doing? Ricky, Aaron Goal, WJ, yes, WJ, good to see you here. Hopefully I'm still the GOAT. Ashton, how you doing? So is anyone else? If I want to make sure I don't want to be missing anyone out. I think I've got everyone. Indeed, we do. So we are going. And Liz, there you go. Don't come be shy. Liz, we love you, dog, and that message related to everyone. And hello, Connor. Hope you're doing well. You say so. Let's get started. We will move on with the first, which has probably been quite a dull Premier League week, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll
All right, so we've got a fair few games to talk about. Obviously, we've got a very specific game to talk about that never actually took place for very certain reasons, but we'll come to that to the end because I'm sure there's a lot of very controversial opinions about that. And as Doug says, make sure to hit the like button if you guys are enjoying the video. So we'll start off with Union, and I think a bit of a surprise result, which throws the top four mix into even more confusion, as the 1-1 draw between Leicester and Southampton. Obviously, last time Leicester went to St Mary's, it was a 9-0. A one each when Southampton went down to 10 men. I think Leicester really missed out. I think that's a big 2 points drop by Leicester.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester, they seemed to dominate that whole game. Yannick Vestergaard getting sent off in the 10th minute until a James Ward-Prowse penalty. Question is, would you say it was a penalty? I think it was. Silly mistake by Leicester, you could say. And then Leicester answering back straight away with a goal, you could say, 6 minutes later. But points dropped for Leicester. They should be doing so much better there, especially against the Southampton team, who have been really underperforming as of late. But this gives them a lot of bad momentum now, especially for Leicester going into top four. I don't think they're going to bottle it again, and I think they can still push for it in the top four. I think they will still finish it in the top four.
Oh, top four's done for Leicester, mate.
I think they'll still do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Manchester United, they play Manchester United coming up on Wednesday night here, and United's going to have a full week's rest after obviously not playing against Liverpool, and they are due still to play Chelsea. They lose those two games, they're out of the top four. So, are you sticking by it?
I think they might do it. It's the Leicester way, isn't it? They always throw up surprises. Yes, they make it hard for themselves every time, but I still think they can. You know.
Doug thinks there was never a red card for Vestergaard. What do you guys think?
It was never a red card, no, but it was a penalty.
Yeah, the penalty was. Yeah, but Vestergaard red card straight away. I think it should have been booked maybe, but no way red card.
Jack, on to you. Do you think, obviously, as I said, Leicester have Manchester United here on Wednesday night, and then they have Chelsea coming up. Do you think they're going to? Do you think Liverpool can sneak into the top 4 over Leicester, or do you think Leicester's going to be clutching enough to get it?
I know I've been on the channel and said Leicester will bottle it this season, but Liverpool have already bottled it this season so many times. So it was, if Liverpool had won the games in hand that we've dropped over the last couple of weeks, I would have said yeah. But I think if Leicester, is it 3 points you only need now, everyone? Is it that you just need to win like to get to solidify top 4? So yeah, unless the Man United fans turn up and disrupt that game, which I think will happen.
You're not going to like when I'm going to speak then. You're not going to like when I speak, mate.
Yeah, it's the but it's what they do with the points. If Liverpool get that 3 points for the United game at the weekend, it's all up in the air. So will that be getting rescheduled? So, but yeah, top 4s are gone for Liverpool, mate. Yeah, but if Leicester do bottle it this season, I think a couple of my Leicester mates, it'd be frankly very disappointing the position in which they've put themselves in and been so dominant throughout the whole campaign.
Okay. There's another thing there. Then Leicester also play Spurs too, which I wasn't aware about. So United, Chelsea, and Spurs out of Liverpool and Newcastle.
Last game of the season.
It is, yeah.
There we go.
In there, couldn't they?
Well, just on that note, I'll come to you, Paul, about that. How do you see the top 4? I'm going to be biased. I think Chelsea's 4. I think Chelsea will get it. But Spurs are still a way bit off, and I don't think they're going to do too much under Ryan Mason. Do you think Leicester could bottle a really big lead, or do you think they'll get in there?
No, I think they've got enough. What have they got? 4 games left now? No, 5 games, haven't they? They've got Newcastle, Man United away. If it takes place, will be tough. Chelsea away, tough. And then they got Tottenham at home. So four matches. They should beat Newcastle on the weekend. Wasn't impressed with Newcastle against Arsenal. I think they should be able to get a point, at least from, either Man United, Chelsea or Spurs. So yeah, I think they'll do it, the Foxes.
Reece, what do you think?
They're not getting the points against Man United, that's all I'm saying. I don't think Leicester are going to get top 4. I don't think Chelsea are going to get top 4 either. I think it's going to be West Ham.
Oh, wow.
West Ham?
Mm-hmm. I think West Ham are going to get top 4, mate. I don't see Chelsea doing it. They're turning up. Like they are getting the results, but frankly, Tuchel hasn't done anything special. And I'm bringing this back to the other day. It was during the Chelsea game. It was at full time, and the broadcasters and all that, and they were saying, well, Tuchel's got them 3 points off the top 4. He's been in charge since January. Lampard was sacked and they were 6 points behind the top 4 at that point anyway. So he's not done anything special except getting them to semi-finals and a final of a tournament. So I'm like, I don't see them getting it. If they get in the top 4, it won't last long. But next year they will be in the top 4. I think it's going to be West Ham just because they've just got that surprise factor. But I will rule Liverpool out. And the reason I'm going to rule Liverpool out is because there's going to be a second Man United protest on the day of the rescheduled game. It's already been confirmed there's going to be another protest. So on the 16th of May, there's going to be another protest at Old Trafford.
Okay, well, we'll come on to that. George, Palace obviously lost to City 2-0 at Selhurst Park. I actually thought Crystal Palace actually played all right. In fairness, I actually thought Crystal Palace put up a really good first half performance, but I generally think Manchester City was just. I think the quality of City just was too much for Palace in the end.
Wolves have scored.
Yeah, it was. It's just quite unfortunate, really. Obviously, Manchester City. We were hoping that we were still going to have something of a title race coming into these final few weeks, but unfortunately, Man City have just got too much quality. And so it proved against Palace as well. In terms of the top 4, I actually agree with Reece as well. I think West Ham are going to make the top 4. I think, and I also think Leicester will. So I think it'll be obviously City, United, Leicester, and West Ham, and I think Chelsea won't make it.
Okay.
Why not Chelsea? I'm looking at the defensive record since he's come in. He's done fantastic.
It's just the attacking side is
conceded 1 goal apart from that defeat against West Brom.
Yeah.
So, okay, they got the Champions League, which may distract them, but Havertz is firing now, so I think they could just nick 4th. But then you got Tottenham as well. Nah.
The one thing that's poor about Chelsea,
Tottenham would make
the one thing that's
sorry.
What I will say there though is you make a good point there, dude. You make a good point. The one thing I will say though is like if you do look at their defense improved, but the attacking wise they're deficient. Their shot conversion rate since Tuchel's taken over is 9% in the league. That's 13th since he's taken over. That's something you can't rely on. It just shows how ineffective they are up front. But defensively, they're fine. It's just they're not doing enough where it matters most, and that's getting goals.
Just remember Chelsea's last 4 games. It's Manchester City coming up at the weekend at the Etihad. Then we're away to Arsenal, and then we are, I believe, away to Leicester, and then home to Leicester, then away to Villa. There are our last 4 games, and then Real Madrid's obviously midweek, which we're getting on to. So George, I'm going to ask you the most hurtful question because I know you hate this. How do you feel about Manchester City being champions?
I'm very angry about it. Obviously, I feel like United had a real chance this season to actually properly challenge for the title. We got into a very good position, obviously, in January when we were top of the league. Obviously, City did go on an incredible run, but then we had. I think the key there was an injury to Paul Pogba. I think without Paul Pogba, we're a very different team offensively. And also the other problem we've had is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been far too pragmatic, far too defensive in big games. I mean, the points disparity isn't too much between ourselves and Manchester City, but all of those sort of 0-0 draws that we've got against all the big teams, where we've sort of sat back. If we could have turned maybe some of those into wins and some into losses, that's obviously, mathematically that's more points, and it would have made things far more exciting. So I think there was a real opportunity missed. If you look, particularly at our away record, it's like 22 games, I think now, away in the Premier League, 22, 23, something like that away in the Premier League consecutively haven't been defeated. And if you look at all the other teams, obviously, because that's almost like a record as well. If you look at all the other teams that are in or around that, historically, all of those teams had won a league with that record. And so, it's incredibly disappointing that record hasn't led to a league title. Given the fact that it has been exemplary, but there's just been too many draws. If you look at the table, it doesn't really lie, unfortunately. Too many draws. Obviously, a horrendous loss against Sheffield United, which was which really did cost us. And then there was that week prior to the Etihad. We did win that in the derby when there was all those draws prior to it, which made it almost irrelevant, really. So yeah, very disappointing.
Okay, now Reece, have you got anything to add to that?
I honestly, I get where George is coming from, but I honestly disagree with him. Obviously, I want Man United to win the league every season, but this year, we had some good members of the squad, but this squad isn't good enough to win a league title. There's still parts lacking that. Yeah, we were top of the league. That was great, but it felt like it was false hope because when we were top of the league, we weren't proving anything about why we were top of the league. We were just fortunate to be in a position that, okay, we are leading the pack. Let's see who's going to be the team that takes over. In the end, it was the team with the best squad in the league. If this had been Man United, if we had properly invested in the summer, which people are going to say, under circumstances due to COVID, bollocks. If we had actually invested in key positions, I reckon that we could have been further ahead in this league. He brought up a very strong point about the away record. It's 24 games now unbeaten, away from home. We're 3 games away from the Arsenal all-time record. It just shows that we are away from home. We are hard to beat. We will go there and we will get the result. It's at home where we've been a massive problem, and it's been reflected. Obviously, Sheffield United. That's one of the worst games I've seen this season. Spurs. Even the Southampton game, even though we won against Southampton, we were still 2-0 down. We were absolutely shocking. We had to rely on a second half comeback. Now, obviously, I reiterate my previous point when I started this wee rant. I want Man United to win the league every year. It's just with the squad we've got, it's not there yet. That's why we've got to be in a position in the summer where you've got to invest. And that's why I'm like, this is where, like, in the summer, we need to invest in free positions that are crucial. There's talks that Sancho's going to be signed. Do I believe it? Unlikely. Do I want us to get him? Yeah, to be fair. It's just, there's parts of this squad that, frankly, is weak, and that has led to, as George also said, pragmatism. You can be pragmatic in certain games, but the majority of the games, you shouldn't be pragmatic at all. You should be dominating these games, and that's why I slightly disagree with his point, but I do see where he's coming from.
I don't think Ollie's rotated the squad properly either, though. I think there's been opportunity. There's been times where he just hasn't learned. Obviously, I'm playing Lindelof and Maguire, who are clearly his favourites together. There's been a real sort of improvement, I think, in terms of our play, having Eric Bailly back there. Obviously, he is quite injury prone, but also there are certain players that he hasn't utilised. So even if you think about it, you are right that there wasn't significant investment in the summer, but actually of the summer signings that he did get, he hasn't really utilised them at all. In terms of like rotation, obviously Donny van de Beek.
Only one has stood out. Only one stood out, and that's Cavani.
Cavani, yeah. But he hasn't really sort of utilised Donny van de Beek at all, when he really should have done, I think, when we have been hampered with injuries. Obviously, Paul Pogba's been injured at quite a crucial time. But he certainly really has sort of struggled with that. Also, he hasn't used Tuan Sabi really hardly at all. And he continues, I think he also tends to play players into the ground as well a lot. I think the four players that he clearly does, like to play all the time, obviously Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford, and obviously the latter of those has been carrying an injury for quite some time. It has led to, I think, a depreciation in terms of his output. But it's just been incredibly annoying for me. And I think Cavani, if we'd had him fit more often this season, I think that we would have seen a real difference, because he has been, when he has played, he's been a real focal point for the attack. We've been much, much better. But without him, obviously Martial this season, compared to, because he won like player of the season, didn't he, last year? Martial this year, until he obviously his injury and stuff, he was very, very poor. So yeah.
All right.
He's got the same amount of goals this season as McTominay as well.
Moving on to Brighton and Leeds. Paul, Brighton got a good 2-0 win at the Amex over at Leeds. Would you say that's Brighton safe now, or were you surprised by the result?
I was very surprised. Of course, we do the predictions video every week, myself and Nathan, and I had a bit of a shocker on that one. I thought Leeds were on a bit of a roll. I think they were undefeated in quite a few games before that. But going to Brighton, okay, they've been a tough nut to crack this season. But they've been playing well, but haven't been getting the results. They're in 14th position now. Yeah, they're safe. They're on, what are they on? 37 points, 10 points ahead of Fulham. 4 games to go. Yeah, safe.
Newcastle are 9 points ahead as well.
Reece, just a quick question from a Yeti boy. Who would you rather see win the league out of Leeds, Liverpool and City?
Man City.
George,
I'd say Man City there.
George, you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree, yeah.
Okay.
Leeds and Liverpool are eternal rivals. Man City, they weren't challenging us for leagues until quite recently, so frankly it doesn't really bother me. They're a good team, but it means fuck all to me. If Liverpool won the league this year, if they retained the title, I probably would have found a cave and stayed there for the rest of my life.
Paul, with 8 games to go, Leeds obviously in 11th. They're 8 points, so there are 4 games left. They're 8 points behind 6th place, and only 7 points behind Liverpool in 7th. Do you think they could maybe get a sneak in the Europa League?
Sorry, who's that, Josh?
Leeds?
No, I don't think so.
No
Too far.
chance.
It's too.
They're not going to catch it.
Everton above them, Liverpool, West Ham. No chance now. They're not going to pull out. They're not going to win their last 4 matches, are they? Who have we got? Josh, let's have a look for Leeds. We got Spurs at home, Burnley away, which is going to be a very tough match for them. Southampton, you don't know which Southampton's team's going to turn up, but on the last game of the season, they got West Brom at home. You presume that they get 3 points for that, but the results recently have been crazy. So no, I can't. I think they'll finish around about where they are at the moment, maybe a place or 2 above. But apart from that, yeah, mid-table for Leeds, which for them is going to be a very good season, first season back in the Premier League.
What would
Here's
you
a question for the lads. I got a quick question for the lads, because obviously it's coming next season. Who do you reckon's going to get the conference spot?
Conference.
I want to say Liverpool. I want to say Liverpool, but if they do, they'll just play their under 23s.
I think it'll be Arsenal.
Yeah, I can't be playing Europa League. That's like that next season. No, I'd rather not play in Europa League. And what? How many teams go into the conference? Is it just one in every league, or is it two? Or...
I don't know. I think it's one or two.
Yeah.
I know the Premier League's getting one. I think
it's the Carabao Cup winner, unless it goes to if it goes to a team who finishes in the top 6, like Champions League or Europa League.
I think 8th place gets it.
8th place, yeah.
Oh, 8th place.
Yeah. Who's 8th at the moment? Is it Everton?
Everton, yeah.
You get a pack of Haribos when you win it or something. So what do you win?
Sorry, you watch Everton get beat off Hibs or something. If Hibs win the Scottish Cup. In fact, no, if Hibs win the Scottish Cup, they go into the Europa League group stages ahead of Celtic, who've got to qualify. So magic. I think it'll be Aberdeen in the Conference Cup then.
Oh dear.
They'll probably beat Everton.
Paul, what would you make of Brighton's season? Obviously, they had a decent year last year. Obviously, this is their second year under Graham Potter. They were in a relegation fight near enough the whole time, but their performances never merited a relegation-threatened team. So, do you think a striker is obviously their main place of concern next season?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, performance-wise, they've done really well. I think Doug has mentioned in the chat about Basuma. He's been very good. The defensive lead, the likes of Lewis Dunk, and the right back, I can't remember his name, but he started the season on. Sorry,
Lamptey.
Started the season on fire and got injured, I believe. Veltman, I think, has filled in for there. He's looked good, but they need maybe something a little bit more creative in the middle of the park, and somebody to finish off, put the ball in the back of the net. So
even our goalkeeper Robert Sanchez, who came in out of the back end and over, has even done quite well for them.
Defensively been very sound this season. Not sure about their results against the top 6, but they have done well. It's just what are they going to do? What do Brighton want to achieve as a club now? Are they going to be looking to move up into mid-table? Could they ever get into challenging for the top 6 or top 8? They need a lot of investment there. So I don't know. They're just happy to be in the Premier League at the moment. But it depends if they can get the checkbook out, sign a striker or two. Then who knows? Maybe they could push up into that, not the Europa League, whatever that cup called.
Conference League.
The Conference League.
I think realistic aspirations for Brighton surely is to get, I don't know, maybe to where Crystal Palace are at the moment.
Yeah.
Like up towards 10th or 11th, and then build on that. But who knows? I mean, Brighton have got a decent side, like Graham Potter and all that. I wonder if he'll stay at Brighton. Like, clubs may come in for him because he's done a decent job. Like, there may be clubs with a little bit more money behind it. Like, I know it's an outside thing because I mentioned a few random targets for Spurs lately. They like British managers. They might take a punt on Graham Potter. Like, you never know. Like, there's Spurs, because obviously they tried to get Ten Hag, signed a new contract. Love it. You never know. They might look into it. I think Brighton have got such a good opportunity to build on something. Like, they're a club I want to see do well next year. I want to see Southampton do a bit better. They're a club that I like. But we'll see where it goes. But if Liverpool, if they were to snatch Basuma, I reckon Brighton would get relegated.
What?
I think any of those teams near the bottom, the likes of Brighton, Palace, Southampton, as long as you're improving every year, then that would keep the fans and the board and all that sort of thing happy. Yeah, once you get in there, if you can improve every year, then that's all you can really hope for as a fan of those clubs, I think.
Absolutely.
Moving on to Chelsea and Fulham at Stamford Bridge. Tuchel rotated the team against Fulham. Fulham actually played quite well, to be fair to them. I thought they actually put up a bit of a fight. Mendy made some really big saves. It was good to see that. It was good to see the likes of Billy Gilmore playing too. I'm sure maybe Reece was happy seeing Billy Gilmore get a game too ahead of the Euros. Reece, do I take it that you were not surprised by this result in any shape, way, or form?
No. I thought the smart thing there by Tuchel was he rotated strongly. he didn't do a Pep Guardiola where he rotated like 9 players out of 11, but he was smart in terms of rotation. Thomas Tuchel. Havertz in that false 9 role seems to be benefiting massively for him. So anyone that doubted likes Havertz or Werner, as a German fan, fuck the lot he is. It feels good to see that. What do I expect now from Chelsea? Hopefully more goals. Like that's what you want. Like because the conversion is shocking. But I will say like very strong team, very smart by Tuchel. Obviously good to see Gilmore ahead of the Euros as well. He's by far your best midfielder. I'm intrigued to see how he develops now. I think the way he played against Fulham, give him half an hour against Real Madrid.
Well,
he actually is quite a good. Yeah, I would.
Gilmore.
I would. I'd play him in that midfield.
Ahead of Jorginho, Kante against Chris Modric and Casemiro.
I said give him half an hour, no 90 minutes.
Yeah, but we need to be winning the game for that to happen, I would say. I don't think he's the type of player.
You honestly think you're not going to win the game anyway? Just to let you know, like,
we'll
a spoiler. You're not going to win the game, but you may as well give him a chance.
Well, we'll come back to that. George, did you ever thought Fulham were going to pull off any upsets in us?
Not at all. I mean, obviously, Chelsea, as we've sort of spoken about, they're very sort of methodical and professional in the way that they play. Obviously, Tuchel's really sort of turned them around. Very solid defensively, and obviously Kai Havertz getting a couple of goals, which will do wonders for his confidence. And obviously, we'll get on to. So I had no expectations really for Fulham, but Chelsea do have a very difficult run in, as you know. So I think top 4 will hopefully be beyond them, because ultimately I'd rather not have either Chelsea or Liverpool in the Champions League next season, just because it makes it slightly easier. If we did have any aspirations of hopefully going quite far in it. So we'll get a good result for Chelsea, but tougher tests ahead, including midweek, obviously.
Jack, moving on to the club that you absolutely adore to pieces, Everton, the club that you love to bet. So obviously Everton lost to Aston Villa. Al Ghalzi with an 80th minute goal at Goodison Park. Honestly, going into the season, they signed all of these. They signed Decore, James Rodriguez. They made some really good signings, yet they are still probably really underperforming. The fact they're not even in maybe the top 6 for their squad, and Ancelotti is quite bad. So I think you're probably just more laughing at them for failing again with a good team.
Yeah, if it's not Liverpool losing games, it's even better when Everton lose games anyway. At least both Merseyside clubs are playing absolutely shocking. I think Godfrey, I've been very impressed since he's come in from the Championship. I think he's probably been one of the most impressive signings this season. But yet again, it's in the DNA of Everton Football Club, bottling moments at the wrong moments anyway, because it was a big opportunity. Liverpool have had possibly the worst season in recent times anyway, and they still can't get above us. It's frankly, we got no centre-backs and we're still above them anyway. So, but yeah, very disappointing, mate. And I'd say I'm surprised, but Aston Villa, they played fantastic this season, and Ollie Watkins getting the goal at the weekend. So if Aston Villa can keep hold of him next season and slightly improve their squad going forward next season, I think they can definitely push for the Europa League spot anyway, considering what other clubs. But it was another highlighted performance, great performance by Aston Villa, and a very big 3 points. Give them a load of confidence anyway going to the next season anyway, mate.
Liverpool and Everton should share the Progress Arena. Both would have a good chance of winning the home game. Both home form has been very poor. Nathan, do you think Everton have underachieved? But they've struggled defensively a lot this season. They don't really keep clean sheets, and I know Calvert-Lewin Calvert-Lewin's goal scoring's went a bit more quiet. James has been in and out of the team this year. Do you think that the lack of goal scoring and the really lack of being able to keep clean sheets has been a problem for them this year?
Well, personally, if you look at the way that Everton have been building their squad over recent years, yes, they pump in a ridiculous amount of money, and considering the amount they spend compared to you could say top 6 clubs, they should be up there or around there. But I don't know, what I think with Everton is they don't reinforce in the right places. they need to put more into their defence in particular. And yes, they do have the likes of Seamus Coleman, Michael Keane, and those sorts of caliber players at the back, but you really need some strength, in particular centre back and left back as well, which I don't think you could be strong. You could be stronger. What?
Goalkeeper.
You're also forgetting the most important position.
The
worst position for Everton is in freaking goals because they've got a midget. They've got a midget arm goalkeeper.
Yes, they also need. Yeah, absolutely. Trim
I got a question for you actually, Nathan.
Go on.
I got a question for you, Nathan, because obviously you were talking about Everton you were talking about Everton briefly on your stream at the weekend. Yeah. I got a question for you. See Everton's lack of strength. Do you think it's because they have relied on certain players for too long, which can be a good thing, but do you also think they just don't identify targets very well in terms of defence? Because they had, quote me on this, I think he was actually quite decent. Jvsh Sidibe was actually quite decent for Everton.
Yeah, he was.
And they just let him go back to AS Monaco, but they haven't really brought anyone else in. And Godfrey, brilliant defender. I agree with Jack's sentiment earlier. Like, he's been centre back, right back, left back. He's been useful, but he's a centre back. You should keep him dominating the middle.
Exactly. They just like to throw their defenders in whatever position they want, move them around, switch it around. But I don't think there's enough consistency, and they don't build a long-term plan for it either, especially with moving players on and everything. But instead of just blowing all your money on midfielders all the time and strikers who end up selling, get the keeper in first, sell Pickford, and then you have to reinforce at the back and build a long-term future. If it means going without buying strikers and midfielders for 2 seasons, then so be it, because then you might actually be able to push into Europa League, maybe even Champions League, where you should be. And with the amount of money that they have spent over the years, they should be there. If that was any other club, they would have gone through about 10 managers by now.
Here's a question, Reece.
That's a good point.
James said here about how Ancelotti was a bit negative. Do you think Ancelotti's been able to play? Do you think him and Duncan Ferguson have been able to play the style that they want, or does he know the defense is not capable, and this is not an Ancelotti team we're watching?
Well, you guys know me in terms of Italian football. Like, I'm a big AC Milan fan. One of the best teams I ever saw was that Milan team under Ancelotti. It was strong in defence, but when it attacked you, you were in trouble. And Jack will tell you that for starts, because his team nearly got pumped in a stupid final that Gerrard's goal was offside. like he does have a strong core of building a strong defence. Everywhere he's went, Ancelotti's always had a very strong back four and a goalkeeper that was reliable. The midfield, it doesn't seem good for me. Like, it's normally got like a tactical midfielder now that can control it. He doesn't have anyone in there that I think is good enough. Sigurdsson is an attacking player. I think he's actually quite poor. Gomez, I don't see enough in him personally. Decore, he's a very good box-to-box player for defensive duties, but he doesn't get enough going forward. I think the best midfield player they've got is Allen, but he's not been able to maintain performances from Napoli when he was really good. And then you look at the front three, and I'm like... In fact, I wouldn't even count it front three because they play Iwobi. That doesn't even count. There's some serious errors in that team that you look at other squads where they know how to fill positions. Everton don't, and I like Everton. They're a team that I've always respected in terms of the league. In terms of, like, they've always been a team that you want to watch, even though they won nothing. Bit like Spurs, but they are lacking holes. And if Ancelotti can fix these positions, get the right depth in, I reckon you'll see more from them. I think he's playing the wrong system as well. Like I don't know why he's changed to a 4-2-3-1. I've never seen Ancelotti use a 4-2-3-1 in my life.
Isn't 4-4-2? He's been a 4-4-2 guy, hasn't he?
He's a 4-4-2 guy, or he was a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, or a 4-3-2-1. Like, he always likes to have like inverted forwards or inside forwards behind a lone striker. That was his best era of management. But when he plays a 4-4-2, he likes to play one off the strikers like a centre forward to control play. That's what Richarlison's done. I don't want him to play a 4-4-2 now, but I want him, if he does do it, a little bit more attack-minded behind it. Show a little bit of ingenuity, because Ancelotti is still one of the greatest managers in the game, even if he is managing a club that doesn't maybe match his expectations.
He's gone from having Maldini and Kaka to Sigurdsson and Holgate, so I think there's a big difference. So, like,
The one thing we do
Richarlison's
know is that he
been
is getting good results, though. He does get good results from this team, though. It's just it's lacking depth. What the fuck?
What's my?
It's not one to use. Honestly, get out the house more.
Nathan, it's your mic. Yeah, exactly. It was your mic, Nathan.
What's going on?
Yeah, sure. I got to mute you, Nathan, because you've got a really weird buzzing sound going on.
That's my problem with Everton, though. Is like they have got some decent players in there that you can build a core around. Like in terms of centre back, it's Godfrey. In midfield, it's Alan, and then up front, it's pretty obvious it's Calvert-Lewin. But you've got Richarlison in there. You've got, when he turns up, James Rodriguez. Like there are some very good players in there. It's just what they've got as a backup. It's mediocre, and that needs to change if Everton want to actually challenge or effectively challenge.
See what with what you said, then, do you think he's overachieving with Everton then in the place?
Underachieved.
You still think he's underachieving?
They should be, in my opinion, they should be at least 5th position with that squad they've got, the way he's came in, the results they got at the beginning, and it's drifted off. In my opinion, they should be 5th or 6th. Like they should be
challenging.
Up there, not Spurs. Yeah, it shouldn't be Spurs. It should be Everton.
Is it, Bruce? Yeah. It's fully capable, and I'd be interested to ask Jay in the comment section tonight. Like when I watched Everton, I know I take the mickey out of them, why me rate up, as most Liverpool fans do. But Richarlison, when you watch him week after week, he frustrates me so much. And I tell you, if Coutinho wants to live, I don't think he'll turn up at Everton anyway. I don't think Richarlison is one of the most frustrating players in the league. Apart from scoring the goal in the derby, first we made out with that. But when you watch him, I don't understand what he does, and he offers the Everton really. But everyone talks about Bobby Firmino being frustrating, but with Richarlison, he's, as you've already mentioned, Reece, that squad is capable of at least getting higher up in the table, and it's not like Everton. Mm-hmm. You talk about, I think they spent too much money on managers. I tell you, if Carlo Ancelotti had all that money that the previous managers had previously to him coming in, I think
a league title would be there.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. That's been their problem. They need to keep the faith in Big Carlo, really, and just take time. It's going to be a frustrating process. It's not going to happen over time. Jürgen, there's a couple of players Liverpool still need to move out and reshuffle. Carlo's got a massive job on his hands, and I think they will get in the top 4 because we've got Edwards and they've got the other fella in the top anyway. What's the player that does all the recruitment for Everton?
Mashiri? Is that who it is?
Mashiri. Mashiri.
Yeah, Mashiri and Marcel Brands.
And we've got Ed Woodward until he goes.
Yeah, Marcel Brands is probably big in terms of for Everton Football Club. We've got Edwards in terms of the recruitment. There's so many clubs in the Premier League that are just mismanaged in terms of the players in which they recruit. Shocking transfers, and that's been a big turn in Liverpool's form over recent times, is getting the right players in that fit the model of a Jurgen Klopp system and the values of the football club.
Paul, moving on to St James's Park, where Newcastle lost 2-0 to Arsenal. Newcastle will utterly hopeless. They were so bad.
Yeah, definitely. Arsenal, I think the previous week they lost in Europe. Going to St James's Park, prediction, I actually put Arsenal down for a win in this one. Even though Newcastle have been playing pretty good recently, getting the points, they it looks like they're going to survive another season in the Premier League, even though at one point they did look doomed. But those 2 victories against Burnley and West Ham really did them the world of good. But they looked dire on the weekend, didn't they? But it looks like they're going to be safe this season anyway.
Unfortunately,
going down.
Here's a question for you guys. All right. Do you think Arteta is the one who's going to take Arsenal forward, or do you think that he is not going to do anything with this Arsenal squad no matter what they do in the window?
Let me tell you this. If Arsenal lose on Thursday, he's gone.
Do you think they'll sack him?
Hands down, yeah. If he does not if he does not get them at the Europa League final, where they're going to meet the winners anyway, if they don't get to the Europa League final, he is getting sacked. Because there's no way that the Arsenal board will maintain confidence in him. Because this is like, realistically, you're up against a former manager who isn't playing particularly good football at the moment. Arteta's been getting some good results against big teams. They should be able to turn this around. And they have quite, pains me to say it, they have had a good record against Man United under Arteta as of late. So they should be doing better. But yeah, if they do not beat Villarreal, he might last to the end of the season, but he is definitely gone if they don't win the Europa League. Because Champions League football, they need it if they want to rebuild. They need the money.
Okay. Paul, what do you think about Arteta?
Yeah, Arsenal, what is it, 9th, 10th position now? Not looking good. Okay, 3 points on the weekend, but yeah, I agree. If they bring home that Europa League trophy, which it looks in doubt now, doesn't it? Then maybe he'll keep his job. But I think league-wise, they need to be in that top 4 or 5 positions. And his position doesn't look good. And what's been going on recently in the last few weeks? No Super League. They need to be back in that top 4. So his days are numbered.
We will come on to your point about Valencia, Doug, when we get to that part. Jack, I'll ask you then about Arteta last of all. Do you think Arteta is a good manager, or do you think that he's just another Frank Lampard and this is far? Like, obviously, he didn't even have a season prior in the Championship. Do you think that Arsenal are just lowering their standards by sticking with an inexperienced manager?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, mate. Only time will tell in the next 5 years where Arteta goes. But I think the problem started with them sacking Emery. I know it was very controversial, and it's Arsenal chopping and changing managers, obviously losing Wenger, getting Emery in, getting Arteta in. For me, I don't think he's got the experience to take Arsenal where they want to go in terms of winning titles. You need experience in that hot seat. Talking about Arsenal Football Club, I want the third most successful English team in the Prem. They need a better standard. No discredit to Arteta, but he's been the predecessor to obviously understudy to Pep Guardiola at City for a long time, but it's too much for him to ask. And obviously off the field, what's happening with Arsenal, they need an experienced world-class manager at the helm. It's Arsenal Football Club. I sound like Rafa there, but yeah, they need a very good manager. I don't think.
Funnily enough, that's who I think should go to Arsenal. That's exactly who I think should go to Arsenal. To be honest, I think they need Rafa. I think they need someone like Rafa Benitez.
That could be a good result for him.
Yeah, I think if
they need to get away from the whole misconception of being a exciting team now, because frankly, it's great to be exciting, but they're not getting anywhere. Like Rafa Benitez will still get them to have. You've seen what he done at Real Madrid, like before he got sacked. Is there were still some very good games there when they battered Barcelona, and then he got sacked. Funnily enough, after his second El Clasico, but he does have moments where he can have really good, exciting games. But he will organise that Arsenal defence.
Yeah. It's like when you look at managers, they inspire confidence, don't they, boys? Like, obviously, Jurgen, Guardiola, the Fergies, they walk into a dressing room and players look up and go, oh, fucking hell. Arteta's not going to do that. I think, it's...
Mourinho's available.
Do you guys think that Arsenal's an attractive job for a big manager, Lou?
Not at the moment.
You go into a board that is absolutely hated and you're barely backed. You go into an absolute toxic fan base. If you go on one bad run, your head's being called for. The squad isn't particularly great, and the fans aren't out. Would a big name manager want to go to Arsenal?
I think they would, and I think they would. I know people in the panel in the chat may have a different opinion, but I think they would, and it's the same with. The same circumstances as Man United at the moment. Yes, our clubs are tarnished by owners that, frankly, we'd love to put a sword through. But you look at our club's histories; it's like some of the best histories in football, and not just English football, but in world football. If you were given the job of being the Arsenal manager and you've got such a pedigree of winning things, you would want to be. I am that man that can turn this club around. If I'm going to get backed or not, take a punt. I know it's not the best going to Arsenal right now, but frankly, if you're like, I know Allegri learned fluent English to say no twice, but there are people who would be willing to take a risk on the Arsenal job, because think about it, if you can turn Arsenal around, you're going to get a lot more attention.
And that's great for your season then, isn't it? Great for your season.
Exactly.
It's attractive. Exactly. It's got a great stadium. It's in London, which is always helpful. Can they sign players? That's the only thing. Can they attract the big name players? Would that manager be?
Well, they did lie about funds when they signed Pepe, didn't they? They said they had a budget of 40 million. They spent 70 million on a washed-up Dan James, pretty much. That's what
Nathan
they did.
Redmond's a better player than Pepe, I think. And it was good. Nathan Redmond, like
Nathan Redmond. Yeah. Do we think Arsenal will get into the Europa League spot, or are they finishing outside them?
They're finishing
where
10th.
they are right now is where they stay.
I hope the overtake goes and get the Europa League spot, but never did that one.
Right, we're
sorry, Josh. They got West Brom next. Chelsea. That's a London clash there. Crystal Palace should be winning that one, and they got Brighton on the last day of the season. So
they've got
6-7 points there.
So who have they got again, Paul?
They've got West Brom next on Saturday.
Lose 2-1.
Chelsea.
Lose 6-0.
Against Chelsea. Crystal Palace.
They'll win 1-0.
And then they got Brighton. That's a tough one.
They'll draw 0-0.
4 points.
Seems when this comes in, you should put it after on. The odds are a million to 1.
Okay. They've got 4 points. They wouldn't even be equal on 56 with Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham are going to pick up a couple of points there. So.
Right, moving on to the last game that was actually played on the Sunday before we get on to this other game that never was actually played.
The main event.
Spurs beating Sheffield United 4-0. Obviously, I don't really see a point talking about this game. Sheffield United obviously are good as gone under Paul Heckingbottom. Storm with a hat-trick. Obviously, another win for Ryan Mason. I think this was just like a friendly, really. No one really gives an absolute damn about this game, though.
All I know is that Bale scored a hat-trick. And
Gareth Bale getting ready for the Euros.
That's all I know.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can really say about this match. Going into the Euros, of course, with Wales, so that'll give him a lot of confidence. He looked good, didn't he? But his form has been up and down, Gareth Bale, this season since he's been with Spurs. But it could only be good for Wales, really. So,
where do you think it ends up next, lads? Quick question to you: where do you think Gareth Bale ends up next? Because I honestly don't think he will play for Real Madrid. I think he'll try to leave.
I think he'll go back to Spurs.
He'll try to leave. I don't think he'll go to Spurs, though.
I don't think anyone else will pay. I don't know who else will, unless he's going to take a pay cut. The pay cut's is the main thing for him.
Might become a golfer. You never know. He's got enough money too.
He's got a bar in the centre of Cardiff.
He could win a Masters, I suppose. He could go and try and win the Masters.
Get lessons off Tiger Woods, even if he's got back
from Juventus. So
I'll say this though: in games where he's actually been effective, he has proved me wrong. Because I said this year when Spurs signed him on loan, I was like, I think it was the very first show on the podcast, and we spoke about players that got signed, and we mentioned Gareth Bale, and I was like, just watch him get injured for the vast majority, he'll be shit. There's been some games where honestly he has proven me wrong, so I will give him credit, but even so, like, it's only in blips. Like, but to get a hat trick though as well, fair play him, because it wasn't just, it was a very good, well deserved hat trick as well, but it's against Jesus Christ, Doug. It was against Sheffield United. If it had been against Arsenal, then it would have been great, like a hat trick against Arsenal, but it wasn't. He could end up in China, but they don't have good golf courses, I don't think.
No, he has turned down China as well. He doesn't want to go there.
Somebody in the MLS will take a punt on him.
But I will do a bold prediction, and I got to play the controversy alarm here, and I think BBL touched on this a second ago, but within the next 5 to 10 years, a Cardiff City team is going to once again have Aaron Ramsey in there and coming home Gareth Bale.
It'd be too old.
So 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years.
5 or 10 years, yeah.
I was going to say, because like, Gareth Bale's what, 30?
43.
Gareth Bale's 30 and Aaron Ramsey's 29. So you could have a 37-year-old Aaron Ramsey and a 39-year-old Gareth Bale.
That's even if Bale could still walk at that time.
Well, to be fair, though, we are known for having extremely old players come to our club. I mean, look at us this century. Robbie Fowler. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. Yeah, Ricky Lambert. Craig Bellamy.
I forgot about
It's going to happen.
How about Iverson?
Helder Higerson as well.
Right.
I mean, Jack will remember Ricky Lambert very well.
World-class striker, him, mate. He's banging in free kicks and everything for Southampton.
Just a question of Sheffield United, right? Is Paul Hackenbolton a good manager?
No.
I will say one thing.
He couldn't cut up here. He couldn't cut up here. If you can't cut up here, then you can't cut it anywhere else. I'm sorry, but no.
He did really bad with a really good Hibernian team.
Exactly.
I will say one thing, though. He has had to change the whole philosophy from Sheffield United. That their confidence was low. And personally, I do think that when they sacked Wilder, they just went down the toilet and absolutely imploded. I mean, I thought they were actually playing okay under Wilder. It's just they weren't grinding the results at all, and they were just missing something. But when they got Heckingbottom and whatever his name is, Tinderlin, used to be manager of Bournemouth, and that was a disaster. Look at where it's gone. Terrible, losing 5-0 every week, winning into Derby County of 2008.
Right, here we go. Time to talk about Manchester United and Liverpool that got postponed and did not take place. So obviously, I'm going to do this in a very structured way, so everyone gets their say, because everyone's going to have their certain opinions about what happened and whatever. So we're going to take this. I'm going to go in order of people from my right downwards. So we'll leave the Manchester United fans to last. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do this because I know as a Liverpool fan, I know Jack might have a certain opinion about it. So
like WrestleMania, this was.
Nathan, starting off with you. Obviously, they turned up in there like from one of the biggest protests we've seen in football in a very, very long time for the Glazers out. They were caught kicking the door down of Old Trafford to get into the stadium. They broke cameras. They hurt a steward. They took quarter flags. They damaged property. Did the protest go too far for what the Manchester United fans were trying to show?
Right, controversy alarm, play it. Here we go. Right, I'm a Cardiff fan. I've attended a few protests myself in my time for my club. I think, and I've said this many times on the podcast before, if you're really against your owners and they are destroying your club, like I have seen in my and BBL a few times as well, you have to do everything in your means to get them out of your club. However, on this one occasion, you do not hinder the players or a game that goes ahead. I think on this occasion, it was wrong for them to break into the stadium, get on the pitch and cancel the game. That was the wrong approach to it. But they got the message across. And that's what I think needs to happen, especially to get these terrible owners out of the clubs. But you do not go against the players. You keep supporting the players and you protest the establishment. You sit in the road. You march across the city. You do everything you can, bar hinder the players. It's not the players' fault at the end of the day. It's the club. No, well, not the club, the owners.
Paul?
Yeah, you can have protests, outside grounds and stuff, and maybe that doesn't have the desired effect. So maybe getting into the ground did, but there were certain things that did go on which weren't pretty. Like I think the stewards they had stuff thrown at them, and I think they were chucking stuff at the gantry, a couple of things as well. Things like that aren't nice to see. I saw one guy, was he on the top of the nets as well? Yeah. So maybe they could have gone in there and maybe sat on the pitch and, had a sit-in or something like that. But, something sort of happened, though, hasn't it? These owners sort of almost ruining football a couple of weeks ago. So those protests are going to continue now, I think. They got one against Villa as well this week. Is it Villa? They played Villa.
Are you talking Man United or?
Yeah,
United.
No, Villa played United. Villa played after. No, yeah, Liverpool played Villa recently, but I don't think United have.
No, it must be somewhere else. I heard then, but protests got to continue. But what we saw on the weekend, I agree possibly with them actually getting into the ground, but maybe a sit-down protest on the pitch, because that way they will take notice. But any of the other shenanigans, no.
Jack, as a Liverpool fan, as a Liverpool fan, you're looking at this from the perspective that this was a must-win game for you guys to keep your top four hopes alive. Do you think Liverpool Football Club, and as the Liverpool fan base looking at it from a different, do you understand why United fans have did this, or do you think it's or would you say that that United should be punished and Liverpool should be awarded the points because the Premier League have said there is no way they're finding it difficult to find a place for this game to be played, given how the games where all the last remaining games are. So they're saying that they might have to give Liverpool the 3 points by default because they can't physically play the game anywhere else.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point. You can come at it from both angles in terms of the laws of the game. I think the legislation says if fans stop a game of football going ahead, and as you mentioned, the scheduling for both teams, not just Liverpool, but United and other competitions, I think should Liverpool get the 3 points? Yes, but the message of the day was clear, and it will be clear for the rest of the whole football pyramid. Man United, similar to us, when we had our 2 cowboys in charge before FSG, and we've got clowns in charge at the minute for both clubs. But from an outside point of view, I'm a football fan, and regardless of the team, it's not nice to see United have tried for 15 years, season after season after season, to make a stand and make some noise. And frankly, the club and the FA and the Premier League have continuously looked away and shied away, obviously condoning the violence, but that was a small minority of people. There was thousands of people in that protest yesterday, and the mainstream media, yet again, as classic do, when stuff have happened with Liverpool, have happened United, any football fans, they classed them as hooligans. It was a small minority. Don't brandish thousands of other very good protesters commanding, wanting change. It baffled me the irony of Sky Sports yesterday, sitting in their high ivory towers, looking down at the little people in football, which is the fans, the most important. It was frankly disgusting. Sky and football fans up and down the length and breadth of the country, Sky, we will be, and Virgin and BT and football and the television companies. The football fans we will be coming for you.
I'll message you later, Doug.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely it's disgusting, mate. And obviously, small minority will take away from the actual important message in which all the fans were the United fans and obviously fans of other clubs up and down over the last couple of weeks anyway. But yeah, I'd like to see Liverpool get the 3 points, but at the end of the day, it was about the more important issue. And obviously that was the protest and the clear message in which you're trying to put across.
Here's the question I would ask you. Would you want Liverpool fans to do near enough what Manchester United did in terms of FSG?
I am speaking for myself, mate. I'm not speaking on behalf of Liverpool fans anyway. Everyone's got varied opinions, whether you like FSG but for me, I was always on the fence before the Super League. But for FSG, I know there's leading supporter groups within Liverpool now discussing at length with obviously the people at the top of the table at FSG. They've been forced into making these decisions, and only time will tell, mate, if the owners of all these big football clubs, or of any football club really that matter within England, really listen to the fans. But I think it's important that the fans, we continue this momentum of getting our voices heard, because it's frankly been going on for too long now that these multi-billion-dollar companies, it's our football clubs, it's every person around the world, it's our football club, it's what we love, we live and breathe these football clubs. And frankly, year upon year, that when everyone's voices are not being heard, and it's about time really everyone took a bit of notice.
Okay, right. I'll come on to you, Rach, while you sort what you're doing. I know what you told me in private chat, so I'll come on to you, George. Obviously you're think all United fans are Glazers out, but from a Manchester United point of view, as a fan, you would have been watching this hands on, eyes on. You might have even went for all I know. How do you see this as a Manchester United point of view? As someone who wants the Glazers out, knows the hatred, knows the passion towards them. Do you condemn what Manchester United fans did, or did they go too far?
It's, I think, really sort of Jack sort of summed up really. I think Held spoke about it as well in the chat, about how the media like to twist things. I mean, they do it with all sorts of different aspects of news really, and it was, you know, again abundantly clear with regards to this protest. A small minority of people acted in ways that were unacceptable, which was obviously with violence. So I believe there was one man. I think quite recently it came out on Sky Sports News that there has been one person that's been arrested as a result of what happened. But obviously there were some injuries. I think to 6 police officers. But ultimately, the vast majority of the fans were protesting peacefully. There is an argument, obviously, of I sort of agree that there could be an argument that there's an argument as to whether they should have got in through the stadium, because according to Manchester United, I believe that they've now said that it wasn't to do with lax people on the ground who didn't let them in, so they sort of broke in. But ultimately, it's been sort of 16 years now, 15, 16 years of trying to get the Glazers out, which hasn't succeeded. And once you've sort of exhausted every possibility, you need to take slightly higher action. Again, there were some upsetting scenes, but the vast majority of it was good. And obviously, I'm quite surprised that the game wasn't eventually postponed. I'm quite surprised that did happen. I thought it was going to be delayed and then maybe played slightly later on. But this is something that will have reverberations around the football world. Obviously, Manchester United, Liverpool's probably the most important and biggest game in English football, really, in terms of the 2 biggest clubs in English football. So the whole eyes of the world were on it, and hopefully this is going to force the Glazers to sell. But we'll just have to watch this space and whether, and obviously, you know, in terms of like taking points off as well. We'll have to see in regards to that as well. But overall, it was important to protest, and I agree with the vast majority of them. Just that there will always be a few idiots in every fan base who who the media like to highlight, but the main message got across, and hopefully we'll see some movement in terms of the ownership.
Reece, what have you sent these on?
I sent them to you in your email, mate.
Email? It must still be standard because I haven't got anything yet. So, while we for them to come,
look at your emails from time to time.
I'm looking at them right now. Not that way. I'm looking at them. There's nothing there from you.
I've definitely sent them. It's 4 videos based on the protests that are actually not a problem. One of them is, which does need to be highlighted, but one like the rest of them are totally fine.
Okay, well, I'll show them as they stand. I haven't got anything. So, you know, you're tripping, or you're had too much Pepsi Max. Just as I say that.
I've sent them to you, you big knob. I've sent them to you.
Right, anyway, on the Manchester United protest, also, can we just say, who in their right mind decided to jump off the Old Trafford roof? Just say, who in their right mind decided to just YOLO themselves off a roof?
A moron.
Like, you're protesting and you decide to just YOLO off the roof? Like, anyway, Reece, what's your views on the podcast?
I think if anyone follows me on Twitter, you know exactly what my thoughts and feelings are of the protest, to be honest. Now, I'm all for a protest. There were stewards that actually let the fans into the stadium, which is not a problem. Like, they didn't cause any harm. There was fans there that didn't cause any harm when they were let in. It's the minority of that hundreds of people that caused the severe damage. And there was the same fan that, for a camera, he kicked the door in at the disabled entrance at the back of Old Trafford. He kicked the door in, they got into the dressing rooms. Obviously that I don't condone. But obviously there was the media spin on it, which does not help, is that got all the attention. Steward was attacked, a policeman was attacked, a policeman attacked a fan. So don't worry, I'm not going to let the policeman get scot-free on this. Like, I've seen the videos and it's disgusting as well. There's some things I do condone, there's some things I'm absolutely fine with. And the one thing I'm fine with is a right to protest. And you saw it, there was about 10,000 fans that protested outside Old Trafford and didn't cause a problem. So I've got no issue with that. It's just there was a a little bit of a minority group that decided to take it upon themselves and act like a bunch of fucking idiots, and it defeats the message, it defeats the purpose of the protest, and it led to, and the one thing it did do, and obviously I wanted to watch the game, but I will say this, it forced the biggest game in English football to be stopped. That has never happened before. That's a message that fans are showing. You don't listen to us, well, fine. Like, it just shows, the most important banner, like, I believe, of the whole protest was, we decide when you play. It all kicked off at the Lowry Hotel, and it transcended to Old Trafford. So that shows the fans are, 16 years is too long. We're going to force you out any way we can. If it means stopping big games, they will do it. They will not care. The game is being rescheduled. I think deducting 10 points is a little bit... I think deducting points is frankly ridiculous. You may as well just fine them. The league's already gone to Man City. There's no point deducting points. But what I will say is that in terms of the situation, the game's getting rescheduled for the 16th. I'm seeing stuff on social media again. There's going to be another protest for the 16th. So that game is, it looks like the Man United fans, they don't care. They are going to be there at Old Trafford if and when this game does go ahead. They will not stop. And as far as I'm concerned, you keep protesting. Keep protesting. Just don't be a dick about it. Violence doesn't solve the problem.
Here's the question for you too, all right? Do you really think that these protests will be enough for the Glazers? Will the Glazers actually look at this and want to sell a club? Will this make an absolute difference to the Glazers and why they're in Manchester United?
Well, it was broadcast national-wide. It was broadcast all over the States. So one way or another, the Glazers have seen this. They will know that Man United fans, like the Supporters Trust as well, they've already sent a letter of demands to the ownership as well and the board, telling them what they want, and they expect a response in writing by Friday. They've told them, we want a response by Friday. If they don't get it, God help them. Like, is it like that's the end of it? Like, that would just show the manner of circumstance. The Glazers, it may not do anything to them personally, but in terms of where the business goes, it will come down on them like a ton of bricks, because frankly, you can't afford to have this much international coverage and global coverage as well on the grounds of angry protesters outside their stadium forcing games to be called off. The fans will do everything they can to stop these games. Am I for it? To a degree. To a degree, I just do not want anyone acting stupid and irrational where they could endanger themselves or they endanger others. They need to be smart about it.
The most Connor thing ever. Just give him a couple of 3 points. That just sums up Connor in a nutshell.
The players didn't refuse to play though, so you cannot give Liverpool the points. The Man United players did want to play, so you can't actually give the win to Liverpool. So there you go. That defeats your argument.
Here's my next question for you. So I'll ask George. I think it's George can speak his mind. Was it wrong of the Manchester United fans to be outside the hotel where the United players were? Because you could picture you could see the pictures of the United fans. They did not look too best pleased being stuck in the hotel. Were the United fans right in trapping the United players, or was that also a bit too unnecessary?
I don't think it was unnecessary at all. No, I think it was all to do with trying to delay and obviously get the game ultimately postponed, which they succeeded in doing. I think all of those sort of actions that were peaceful, so they weren't obviously destroying or vandalism or anything along those lines, or any violence of any kind. All of those were quite justified. This has been 16 years of festering hatred of the ownership, which has sort of boiled over. So yeah, I think it was totally justified. Whether or not, just to come back to your original question as well, whether or not it's going to affect whether the Glazers actually do anything, it's very difficult, obviously, because the Glazers are quite reticent and quite quiet in terms of what their dealings with Manchester United. They don't really sort of speak out too often. And also, really, in most ways, you sort of look at actions rather than words. And in terms of the Glazers, obviously taking money out of Manchester United, that Manchester United is their cash cow. So it's whether their greed or avarice is going to usurp all the bad feeling. So as long as they continue, if they feel like they can still get money out of Manchester United, I feel like that's going to be the end goal. And I don't think anything's going to happen, which is probably why they're sort of looking to protest again and demonstrate again, so that it sort of comes to forcing them in some way. So yeah.
It says it all as well. It says it all as well that you may have seen this, George. I don't know, but like there were several players of the Man United squad that wanted to go out and join the protesters. They actually asked to go out. The likes of Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Dean Henderson. They wanted to go outside. They were told no. Like, they were held back. That just shows that the players give more of a damn about the club and the fans than the owners do, because they've not communicated with us in 16 years. The only thing that we've ever got as communication was a letter of apology that looked like it had been written by someone in PR. Like, it was weak. It was disgusting. Frankly, it was abusive. There's nothing in there. And obviously, like, the one thing I will say, if the players had refused to play against Liverpool based on the circumstances, if they refused to play, then you give the points to Liverpool. But they wanted to play the game, even if it meant delaying the game till like 8 o'clock at night. They would rather have played then. So whether by FA law or whatever that load of crap is, you cannot just award points to a team because fans are using their own rights to protest. Like, you should give them the points if the players actively go, you know what, it's too big a situation, we're just not going to play. Then you give the points to Liverpool because they're deliberately refusing to play. That, for me, is awarding the situation. Based on the protests, it's not a big deal. It's the fact that they're showing that they want their club back. It's 16 years of pillaging, rape, destruction, causing chaos to a club that is still the greatest club in England and one of the greatest in world football. The reputation, the history has been tarnished by these owners, that even the American fans are now being targeted. And that's a no-no. Like, that's not their fault. They've got nothing to do with this. Yet they're being attacked on social media. So that's another problem, is the fans need to remember it's the owners, not the people. Don't go after the American fans. Leave them out of this. They're actually wanting the owners out. That says it all for me as well.
That's just the actions of that sort of stupid minority, isn't it? Unfortunately, you will always get those into, we've spoken about sort of the violence as well, but also on the news as well, they sort of captured a lady who said something along the lines of, we don't want these Americans. They've got their own sports. They can go back, and obviously it's, again, it's sort of like they've deliberately chosen someone who they've deliberately chosen someone to speak a sort of sentence that's going to inflame the situation and make them sound uneducated, or the entire and sort of tar them all with the same brush. And they've deliberately done that. The media have done that. So, and it's exactly the same as you sort of spoken about this, the attacking American fans as well. It's just a stupid minority who are ruining things for everyone else.
That's something that they can do. Obviously, they mentioned there about protesting in American sports. They can do. I don't know what the circumstance is going to be. The one thing they need to do is need to hit them where it hurts. Boycott sponsors and boycott merchandise. Manchester United have got at least 40 major sponsors. Hit them where it hurts. If it means that peaceful protest and stop spending, do that. But don't. There's protesting is fine. Destruction is unacceptable. Quote my own tweet, but it's important. Like, that's the manner, is like, you protest smartly. Don't be stupid.
Yeah. Do you think, though, next season, hopefully, fans will be able to go into stadium again? Do you think the Man United fans will have heart, all of them, to not buy season tickets or to get the season tickets as normal, and every time just go in and then before kick-off walk out? Would that help?
Yes, because there was going to be that at Cardiff before.
Now,
Vincent
I've seen that before, but only a handful of fans would walk out.
I think fans would still buy the season tickets because, frankly, even if you don't buy the season tickets, other people are going to snap them up anyway. If you have that season ticket, at least no one else has access to it. But other than that, you do not contribute to anything inside the stadium. If you go to the games, there are people that go to the games anyway because it's the team you support. They'll still be actively against the ownership. That's why I'm saying any trophy we win as well, it'll be in spite of the Glazer ownership, not for them. Which, funnily enough, Graham Souness believes that we haven't protested even when we're winning things. What a deluded, senile old fool. I've got
one final question, just on that topic of fans being back in the stadium. George and Reese, would you support the supporters of United at Old Trafford chanting, anti-Glazer chants, or would you not do that during the game to not distract? But would it not distract the players and take them off the mentality of the game?
Josh, you should have seen it in Cardiff,
I don't think it would. 2013. I don't think it would have any distraction on the players. I mean, they were chanting anti-Glazer chants when we smashed AC Milan in the Champions League 10 years ago. we didn't do anything. The only circumstance is they were trying to silence us. I think the only thing that would have a problem is if they started attacking, elsewhere, like other fans losing control of each other, because that can sadly happen. There is a divide in our fan base as well. There is a divide in our fan base. It can sadly happen. I think if they are they've done it before when we were winning games. They were chanting "Die Glazer, die!" All that crap. Did it matter? No, they just kept going, and the fans are there to enjoy the football, but they're also there to get these scum rat owners. Notice I'm not using American because I'm being respectful here. Scum rat owners that need to go, and they're tarnishing our sport. If they chant them, and if I hear them on TV, I'm just going to be sitting there in my room clapping them, because obviously I'm going to have to travel all the way down to Old Trafford anyway. But I'll still applaud it.
Do we think we could see any West Ham-like issues? Remember when West Ham were losing 4-0 to Barnsley, all the West Ham fans went to try to attack the board in the direct area. No, obviously the Glazers won't be there, and Edward probably won't be there either when fans are back. But could you see United fans taking it that far?
If they're
we've
there,
already seen what West Ham fans do.
If they're not there, which is obviously the issue, then I don't think they will take it that far. It will be extremely interesting in terms of obviously the points. I think what you will find is a bit like this sort of where people prefer to. It's like with insurance, when obviously you haven't any sort of like insurance, like car insurance, home insurance and stuff, and you sort of like, you just go with it, even if you know that it's going to be too expensive, you just sort of go with it anyway, because you can't sort of raise the enthusiasm or raise the ability to do it. And I think that's what you're going to sort of find as well with some of the protests that you're sort of talking about. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things go. But ultimately, I don't hold out too much hope, really, because obviously the Glazers have been here for so long. It just feels like they'll just never go.
There's so much that needs to be done, and it's the timing that's annoying.
So after all of that, lads, that should take an hour and 21 minutes of our show talking about the Premier League and that. So we still have quite a bit to get through. So we're gonna move on to the Champions League. So moving on to the Champions League second leg games to take place, that is going to be the big decider, obviously, for who will be going to play in the Champions League final in Istanbul. So we're going to start off with the game that takes place on Tuesday night between Manchester City and PSG. This game ended 2-1 in Paris Saint-Germain, with Manchester City coming away with the 2 away goals, with a 2-1 win, which was a game of two halves. I think City were played off the park by PSG in that first half, and then probably a lucky goal maybe by a cross go in, shot from Kevin De Bruyne goes in, and then City started to dominate from there. So this game was probably just as exciting as we all thought it was going to be, Nathan. It's still an extremely difficult game to call, but do you think those away goals for Manchester City make a difference?
I think they do, yes, and I think Man City clear up the job. I said it last week that they'd be able to do it, and personally, I think they have got the bragging rights over the line. I think Pochettino has now lost a lot of confidence with it. I knew that PSG would be quite vulnerable at the back coming up against that Man City attack. And personally, I think Man City have done enough. Let's just hope they don't do another Monaco bottle job like a few years ago.
Paul, PSG probably should have been winning this game a lot more than they did it, but by the time half-time came. But they I think this is one of the situations where PSG really did not utilise their dominance in that first half, and it came back to bite them big time.
Yeah, definitely. Although PSG at home this season hasn't been that great. If you look at their record in the Champions League this season. They've had some fantastic results away from home. Obviously, they beat Manchester United. Sorry, Reece and George. Barcelona, 4-1 victory at the Camp Nou. Was it in Camp Nou? I think it was. And they also beat Bayern Munich as well away from home. So Man City have got to be on their guard because away from home, PSG have been very good. However, they're playing Manchester City. Manchester City resting players on the weekend at Crystal Palace. I think they will win, but it's going to be a narrow victory. But I fully expect Manchester City to sneak through in the end.
Reece?
Yeah, I agree all sentiment. I think Man City are going to win 2-0, to be honest. I don't see PSG getting a sniff.
That's interesting.
If they keep the ball. They keep the ball. That Man City.
This is a very good point about Idrissa Gana Gueye. The strong chance of good. The one he's like he's not how to see the. Do you think Idrissa Gana Gueye is a big miss for PSG in that midfield? Because their midfield's not anything special.
I don't see anything in them. I think Ander Herrera's better, and they're both equally crap players. They're both equally crap.
Jack, what about you?
Yeah, it was a shocking tackle by Gana Gueye. He nowhere played the ball, but it's sad to see, really, City going to the final. Wish it was us, really, but they won't shut up about it if they actually win it. Battle of the oil giants, both of them anyway. So, yeah, I can't see really PSG coming into the second leg unless Kylian Mbappe, I was surprised at how quiet he was. Yeah, PSG dominated the first half, but the second half, City dictated the tempo, controlled the whole game for the hour and second half. But I think Kylian Mbappe, it's going to be a massive second leg for him if he can turn up. Neymar, both of them were they weren't even on it. Yeah, they were shocking. Yet again, PSG, like we've seen over the last couple of seasons, I think they've over-celebrated, expecting that they've actually won the competition already. The City are a very good side, and I think their heads have gone mentally. But yeah, there's no way.
45 wins.
Yeah, I think they're eventually City, possibly this season, win the Champions League.
Your post that is bold.
This is a good point. Mbappe may not play that game, so would that be just automatically mean City are winners for you guys if Mbappe doesn't play?
Yeah.
See, the thing is, like that PSG team still got some quality players in depth where they should realistically pose a threat. It's just Man City right now. The fact that Guardiola rested 9 players at that weekend, he only kept Ederson and was it Cancelo or Diaz, whoever it was, he kept in the team. Yeah, like he kept one of those two in as well. He made 9 changes to his team and they still won against a relatively weak side, playing an unusual 4-4-2. It shows that all really they've changed. I wouldn't put it past them. I still think PSG aren't strong enough to deal with Man City. Like, I think Man City overall have got far better quality, and it pains me to say it. They're going to be in the Champions League, but they're not going to win it.
Do you think one of the key points for this Man City matchup here, very quickly, is that midfield? City boss that midfield with all their players, which PSG can't realistically compete with?
Absolutely.
I think
the
key player again will be Neymar. I think in that first half, actually, I thought he was actually brilliant. I thought Man City couldn't contain him. I thought he was absolutely everywhere, sort of taking. It was almost like City was standing off him because they just knew that he had the quality to go around them. It was quite astonishing, really, because normally City will have, with almost any player, will always have players around them and sort of be able to dispossess them. But with Neymar, you just can't do that because he'll get around you very quickly. He'll cause so much havoc and well, exactly. But obviously, if it means Man City don't get to the final, then he's allowed to pull out all of his gamesmanship. PSG do have a chance, but it's just the fact that defence is obviously so porous. Against Bayern Munich, of course, Bayern were missing Lewandowski and had Choupo-Moting up front. I mean, if they'd had any sort of decent striker, they would have gone through. And I think, but it would have been a very different story for Man City against Bayern Munich with Lewandowski. But yeah, I still think PSG have a very good chance, but obviously Mbappe was very quiet, as people have already mentioned in that match. I think Diaz very much had him contained. It was, I think Diaz did actually struggle against Erling Haaland a lot more. I think because Erling Haaland obviously is a lot more of a physical beast. than Mbappe is. So he got sort of turned so often. But I wouldn't count PSG out of it though. I think the first goal will be very important. I think if PSG score first, then I think it will be a very interesting tie, and PSG could sneak through because obviously Man City would be in a real sort of catch-22 there. So it'll be very interesting. But I will say PSG will go through.
Right. Who's ready for the
The team
Josh?
that doesn't matter. Oh,
No,
Burnley
no.
have scored. Chris Wood has scored.
Again.
Top four is getting interesting then. But he's ready for the Josh twist. We're going to do a combined 11 of City and PSG. Who's in nets? Navas or Edison?
Joking.
Navas.
Joking. It's Ederson.
Ederson.
It's Ederson for me. He's had the better season.
Right back.
I'm going to go a bit left field. I'm going to say Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker. What about you guys?
I would say, well, it depends, obviously, because if we're going to play Cancelo, it depends where we're going to play Cancelo, whether it's going to be right back or left back. But
he's excelled in any full-back position this season, so frankly, you could put him anywhere.
I would have Cancelo right back.
Okay.
Yeah, Cancelo right back for me.
Cancelo, okay. Nathan and Paul?
Probably Cancelo right back.
Paul?
Cancelo.
Cancelo, okay. Who's your two centre backs?
I'm going to go
Marquinhos and Diaz.
Diaz.
Stones.
Maybe you know, agree on that. Yeah.
Left back?
I would
I
have.
said Cancelo right for my left
Yeah, the
back
other
because
way
I've got
round,
Walcott at right back.
Yeah,
I would have Bacca.
the other way
I
round.
actually thought Bacca was very good in that first
Yeah.
leg.
Yeah, I was
Left
going to
back
say,
for
played
PSG.
quite well.
CDM?
Gundogan.
Rodri.
Oh, Rodri.
Rodri, yeah.
Rodri.
If you're playing a
Rodri.
CDM, yeah, go with Rodri.
He would be your first number 6.
That would be Rodri.
No, sorry.
Rodri.
No.
What about Verratti?
Ferrari?
Oh, yeah.
As a CDM, I don't like him as a CDM. I get where you're coming from. I prefer him a little bit further forward.
Who would be your second midfielder?
Gundogan.
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 Yeah.
Who's your third one?
Best.
De Bruyne.
See,
Is it
this
De Bruyne
where
or
it's controversial.
Foden? Is it Phil Foden or
This
De
is where
Bruyne?
This is where I say Verratti. I'd have a
Verratti.
midfielder, Rodri, Gundogan, and Verratti, to be honest.
No, De Bruyne.
Yeah, I'm going to go with De Bruyne, mate. Unless you're playing him up front like City did, but... yeah, go with...
What about you, Paul and Nathan? Who's your third midfielder?
De Bruyne, I'd have to say.
I like Verratti, but yeah, De Bruyne, he's awesome, isn't he?
94 minutes into this podcast, and I need a drink. Well, we're 2 minutes away from that talk. Right, who's your left winger?
Neymar.
Neymar.
Striker, if you're going with a striker.
Mbappe.
Mbappe.
And right winger.
Mbappe.
Foden.
Di Maria.
Raheem Sterling.
The man that doesn't score.
I think Di Maria.
I miss his more chances than
Foden on the left. If you can't put Foden on the left, I'll put him on the right then.
Yeah. Foden, Mbappe, and Neymar for me.
That'll be unreal.
To be fair, if I was doing it, I would play the way he played last week. He was brilliant as a false 9. I'd have De Bruyne in the middle, and I'd have Neymar on the left, and I'd have Mbappe on the right-hand side.
So everyone's in conclusion that City's going to go through. I don't think anybody said PSG.
I said PSG.
You said PSG.
City.
I hope PSG go through, but just...
Their away record, though, in the Champions League has been phenomenal this year, so you can't write them off.
Man City will get to the final, but they will not win the Champions League.
1-1, by the way. Burnley West Ham.
I was sure.
Didn't last long.
Mikel Antonio.
Antonio's back. That's big. I didn't realise he was back. Right. Anyway, what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to have a minute silence for Dux Granda for the next minute. So none of us will be talking. So as we pay respects to great Dux Granda, starting now. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much, everyone, for doing that. I appreciate it. Especially for not talking in the chat as well, because I think that was very respectful. So, moving on to the second Champions League game, Chelsea and Real Madrid. Christian Pulisic got the first goal and the away goal within this leg when Karim Benzema scored an absolute glasso for the equaliser, also hitting the post from an unbelievable shot. Second leg to be played, Stamford Bridge. It is confirmed today that Farlan Mendy will be out of the game along with Varane, so more defensive issues for Real Madrid to contend with. Meanwhile, Chelsea will only be missing Mateo Kovacic. Nathan, over to you. I'm going to say these defensive injuries for Real Madrid might be the simple reason why Chelsea go through. I feel
it's going to absolutely hinder them. I really think Chelsea have got it now. Real Madrid, I thought they did well to get 1-1 because I thought that. Look at Thomas Tuchel's record over Real Madrid. Says it all at the end of the day. So
and Real Madrid,
I think Chelsea have got it.
And Real Madrid have never got Chelsea in their history.
Very true.
Do you think it's going to end LH? It's going to be a control game for Chelsea, or do you think Chelsea are going to score?
I think Chelsea, they're probably going to close up shop. They might get one more goal, but I think they've got it. And I think it'll probably be a 1-0 victory at Stamford Bridge.
Paul?
Sergio Ramos is back, isn't he?
Ramos is believed to at least be fifth for the bench, yeah.
If he starts, that could be key. Benzema, if he turns up, that could be key. I don't think Thomas Tuchel has ever lost a match against Zinedine Zidane. That could be key. Chelsea's defence looking very good, unless they play West Brom. 0-0.
Shut up.
0-0. They'll go through on away goals, very tight. But Sergio Ramos could pop up with a header from a corner or something. But no,
penalty.
Race.
I'm going Real Madrid to win 2-1 at Stamford Bridge, mate. I think Real Madrid are going to turn up. I think Benzema's going to score twice.
That hurts me, man.
Well, tough shit. I'm consistent to it. I've said it all week that I think Real Madrid are going to win. The reason I think they do is they miss a player like Ronaldo. That's obvious, but they've been so much better in terms of like the past 2 years. Obviously, there's an aging team, but they're so much better in terms of actually winning games as a team rather than relying on one individual player. You look at Benzema's record now. Like you look at the midfield; it's more controlled. I generally do not think Chelsea are going to be able to cope in the second leg if Madrid get going. Yes, they've got some defensive concerns. Obviously, losing Varane and Ferland Mendy, that's a big loss. They've still got Marcelo, who effectively is still a good left back. He can cause problems if he gets down the flank. Militao had a very good first leg. He was very good. Get him in there. Say someone it could milk. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't think Ramos will start.
As well, I think, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. I don't think Ramos will start. I think Ramos will be on the bench. So it looks like it'll be, I don't know who else they've got in there as a backup. Is it Fernandez or something? I'm not sure. Can't remember who else they've got. But yeah, it's still strong. And they've got so much experience, more experience in this Chelsea team. I think experience will decide it. And I'm going to go for Real Madrid to win 2-1 and Benzema to score twice.
There's only a few players. Rudiger, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Kante, I believe, are the only players who have won something in this Chelsea squad. I might be missing one or two, but I know they're the only ones who've won anything major. So, the experience will play a part. Jack, is it going to be the Blues or is it going to be the Whites of Real Madrid?
I think the first leg, like it was with Liverpool when we played Real Madrid, mate, missed opportunities, and especially by Timo Werner. I think if you could get one more extra away goal in that first leg, that would have helped you so much. As the lads already said, experience will play a big part. It will be a massive victory for Chelsea if they can get it over the line, mate. But I think if Ramos is playing, and obviously Mendy, I wish he was injured against us because he was phenomenal over both of those legs. If you use and isolate Marcelo, he's not got the legs as he once did. I think if you can get Timo Werner in and behind this Real Madrid backline, something that Liverpool really failed to do a lot. But I think, I'm going to go Real Madrid, mate. I mean, only because I want Real to go through and just possibly stop Man City from winning Champions League, mate. But it'd be an excellent encounter, mate. I'm looking forward to.
My sentiments exactly.
And George?
Yeah, I think Real Madrid will also go through as well. I think Chelsea really do struggle to score. I mean, obviously, you'll sort of know, as I was sort of commenting along with the first leg, Timo Werner is, he lacks so much confidence. He would literally do anything other than shoot. He's just, it's terrible lack of confidence, and it's almost like playing with 10 men. The opportunity, that glaring opportunity he had in that first half, when it was almost like an open goal, I couldn't believe he missed that. I mean, obviously, I was really glad, because obviously I don't want Chelsea to go through, but I couldn't believe he missed that, because it was such a simple chance. But that's just typical of Werner, really. I think if Pulisic plays, obviously you know, Josh, that I rate him quite highly of all your forwards, but the rest of them I don't rate too highly. I think they all sort of flatter to deceive a bit, and it's incredible, really, given how much money you spent on quite a few of them over the summer period, that they're not very prolific. And obviously, on the flip side of the coin, Real Madrid have Karim Benzema, who is a phenomenal striker. Kind of overshadowed, obviously, by Cristiano Ronaldo when he was there, but still, a phenomenal talent. And I think Benzema could be the difference, because in those tight sort of situations, which the game will be, you need someone who's going to score, and Benzema has already proven that first leg that he can do that, and he was very unlucky, obviously, with the one that hit the sort of post/bar. So I think Real Madrid will go through. I think your sort of struggle will be if Real Madrid score. I don't necessarily see Chelsea. How many goals do you think Chelsea can score, really, in a match like that? I think they're probably going to score one. So if you think two,
if Kai Havertz is playing up front, yeah.
Okay.
The only difference is Havertz doesn't have the experience of like a Benzema and like these sort of games. It's going to come down to the experience factor, and that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid are 2-0 up within the first 30 minutes. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised.
Thanks to our private score updater, Tony, I think Nathan, Tony has scored again for West Ham. They are 2-1 up, which is bloody awful. So again, time for the Josh twist. Combined 11 of Chelsea and Real Madrid. Courtois or Mendy?
Courtois. It's not even a doubt.
Courtois, yeah.
I'm going Mendy, because I hate Courtois after what he did with us. So I refuse to pick Courtois.
Well, they won your league title, and Mendy's only done the good thing of keeping Kepa out of the team.
Okay, right back. There's a Carvajal.
Carvajal.
2 centre backs.
Ramos, Varane.
Yeah. Ramos and Varane.
Since neither are playing, I'm going to say for centre backs. I'm going to put a Chelsea one in there. I'm going to say Thiago Silva. I was going to say Rudiger, but I'm not that nice. Thiago Silva and Militao, to be honest, since the obvious aren't available.
Left back.
Marcelo.
On the same sort of thing, and then if it would be Mendy if he was fit, but as it's not, it will still be Marcelo.
Same here. No way I'm picking.
Are we picking off the team selection, or?
Yeah, people who are fit.
Based on what they've got, has to be.
Yeah.
Is that CDM? Casemiro.
Casemiro.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Although I do like, I really like Kante, but just because I think it'd be funny to have all Real Madrid team players, I'm going to go Casemiro.
Just to wind them up.
First midfielder.
Valverde.
Second midfielder.
Toni Kroos.
I'd go with Modric and Kroos.
I'd go with Modric and Kroos,
yeah.
I would have the one purely for the control, like Toni Kroos to control, but the energy of Valverde is so crucial. That's why
as well.
Mason Mount in there for. Right, left wing.
I don't know.
Is it Pulisic or Vinicius Junior?
I'm going to put Werner because he's better than all three of them.
I'm going to say, I'll be nice, Josh, and I'll say Pulisic.
Pulisic. Jack?
Strings.
Won't be Hazard because he's far too fat now. Pulisic, definitely. I think Hazard's had far too many chippies at the minute. Spanish chippies.
Paul?
Pulisic, he's a decent player, isn't he? Good American player.
Striker, is it going to be Kai Havertz, Karim Benzema, or Olivier Giroud?
Benzema.
Has to be Benzema.
Easiest.
Benzema, but even if I had no eyes, I would still think Benzema.
Even if he had one left foot, still thinking with
Too many Big Macs.
What about right wing?
He's had more of that.
See, cuts in the door, or Luis Vasquez, or Marcus
I'd have to say
Asensio.
Vasquez. Honestly,
Asensio.
I'm gonna have to say Vasquez because he's experiencing these games. He's turned up when it matters most. He's not a good player. There's something about him.
So
I honestly,
against Chelsea, though, wasn't he? He was amazing against us, standing into Fran Pele, and then just disappeared. But
I don't think
Okay.
Vinicius Junior is that good. I think he's like how Barcelona fans how they hype up Ansu Fati and all that. Like he's a good player. He's overrated. I think Vinicius Junior is the same. Like I think Rodrigo's a better player.
As much as we would love to keep talking about this, we do need to move on. It's time to move on to the Europa League. So, starting off with Manchester United and Roma in the first leg. Listen, I thought Manchester United were going to win this game comfortably, but especially after going 2-each, I did not expect this game to end 6-2 to Manchester United. Nathan, it's game over, hasn't it?
Yep, game over. It was going to happen. I thought Roma could have possibly had a chance, but looking at how they just completely imploded in the second half of that match, Man United are through. They might as well just, both of them, put out their reserve teams, let them have a little fight, but Man United are through.
Paul, we don't know we see any major comebacks in Europa League? Are we going to see one in the second leg?
No chance, no. Even if you look at their form in Italy, well, lost against Sampdoria on the weekend, previously losing against Cagliari, so no chance to play Man United. Here's what draw, but I fully expect Man United to.
Here's what the Roma manager said after the game. This was in the Italian press conference. No one's probably seen these quotes. He said, "I am utterly embarrassed by our team. How can we play like we did in the first half and come out in the second half at Old Trafford, especially with no fans, and play like a bunch of amateurs? I am appalled and embarrassed to be standing by the players in this team." He made 9 changes against Sampdoria, and he said, "I have to say I'm very annoyed. But one thing I have to give credit about my defenders today, they came to Old Trafford and tried to give their best impression of Phil Jones." That's what the Roma manager said after the game.
That's brilliant.
Did you seriously think after when it went 2-8, you're probably thinking we're going to pull another semi-final, and then you go and do that? So were you surprised by how the game ended?
I was a bit surprised by the scoreline, but the funny thing is, and he does this every week, lads. Every time I put up a tweet, right, he always comes on saying, "Oh, you're right, you this and you're that." And the funny thing about Josh is, I'm 100% accurate. He's 100% wrong. Now, like, I didn't expect a 6-2. I thought the scoreline would be what Roma were winning at halftime. I thought it would finish 2-1 Man United going into the second leg in Rome. I thought it was going to be 2-1. Then we'll just steamroll them over there 4-0. The fact that we beat them 6-2, may as well just play it under 23, lads. We're already in the final. You may as well just give us the trophy as well. But
Jack, is it painful?
I was confident.
Jack, is it painful to say that Man United might win another European trophy?
It's not Champions League in it, though. It doesn't count.
Shut up, Mickey Mouse.
I tell you, if they bottle that, it'd be like some Arsenal Spurs thing. But yeah, it was a walk in the park. That like I kept on seeing the goal notifications come through and just switched off my phone. So yeah, if United all day second leg race.
George, and final person. I think Chris Smalling must have had a bet on Manchester United after that performance he put in.
Well, as you said, Chris Smalling. I mean, there was some school of thought from some United fans that we made a mistake letting him go because obviously of all the sort of error-prone centre backs that we've had, obviously with Maguire and Lindelof. But I'd always been trying to get Smalling gone for years and years and years. So I was extremely happy when he finally made the permanent switch to Roma. And ultimately, their defence went to absolute pot. And full credit to United, obviously, very, very clinical, determined performance, and it's mission impossible really for Roma to come back in this. I was trying to think actually of teams that had overturned those sort of deficits in European competition. I'm pretty sure the only team that's ever done the four goals was obviously Barcelona against PSG in the 6-1. I think that was the only time I can recollect of that ever.
It's the only team
ever happening. I think it's
the only time in history.
Obviously, there was quite a bit of controversy in that match, particularly with Luis Suarez doing some of his usual diving to to win some penalties. So. Yeah, I don't see Roma. I always thought we were going to beat Roma because I feel like the Italian league isn't what it once was, and obviously it so proved with Roma. They were obviously very poor.
Sorry to interrupt, just but see that Roma team. If you look at that team, they are an extremely old team. They are their front three could have been their best front three technically on paper is Pedro, who left us, Edin Dzeko, and Mkhitaryan. It's not
their best front three was technical. No, their best front three was technical. Is Dzeko through the middle, Pedro on the right, and Stefan El Shaarawy on the left.
But Shaarawy's injured, so I'm talking about people.
He was playing. He was in the squad on Thursday.
It must have only came back from injury, but I think Manchester United were just too quick and fast for them, and I think that's why that's the half gone on. The space started to open. I think that was it. Onto the second semi-final. Obviously, good evening. Unai Emery's Villarreal beat Arsenal 2-0. Villarreal, I didn't think played particularly well, but oh my god, Arsenal were bad. And my man Arteta thought it was a good idea to leave Lacazette and Aubameyang on the bench and play Pepe through the middle in a semi-final. It did not work, Nathan. I think Arteta showed his inexperience once again.
First of all, good evening. I called it last week. I knew it was going to happen. Villarreal are going through. I mean, things might change in the second leg, but I just think Villarreal have enough, and it shows Mikel Arteta's inexperience, as you just said. I think they're just going to lack too much confidence. Emery, he's going to lock up at the back, even with his abysmal defending that we saw at Arsenal, but he's going to somehow be able to do it. They're not going to be able. Arsenal, they have problems scoring sometimes, and Mikel Arteta is going to get sacked, maybe at the end of the season, maybe after this week, but who knows at this point. Even he'll get out the door if he loses.
So, Paul, leaving Aubameyang, like I said, on the bench and playing Pepe through the middle was a weird decision itself. Why did he leave Ceballos on after that first half? He should have known to do better. To take him off.
I have no idea. No. Lacazette, though, I think he's injured, isn't he, for this return fixture? I think he's out. But, not sure what Arteta's doing there. Maybe he's taking something out of Pep Guardiola's book, being his understudy, wasn't he, at Man City? Not sure. I don't know why he did that.
Reece, do you think Arteta will have a masterclass to get him back into this game, or Unai Emery got this in the bag?
Absolutely not. Arsenal are out. They're not they need to win 1-0 and they're not even going to do that. I don't see Arsenal getting through at all. They could do what they've done to Slavia Prague in the second leg. They could turn over Villarreal. Do I see it happening? No. I think Emery will have that team sorted out very well, and then it's just a matter of time before they meet us in Dansk and we turn them over.
Are you ready to hear the mad thing about what Unai Emery did at the weekend?
Tactical masterclass, I assume, of shite.
10 changes. The only one wasn't the goalkeeper.
That says it all. He is fully focused on Thursday. If I was Arsenal, I would be worried.
Jack, Arsenal free or Villarreal free?
No chance, mate. Absolutely no chance. And as you said, not playing. He's trying to copy Guardiola. You've seen it the night before. Oh, City aren't playing with a number 9, so I go with playing with no official number 9, mate. But Unai Emery. It'd be just classic Arsenal if they'd get knocked out by their ex-managers. But yeah, all going Villarreal all day. Mate.
George?
Yeah, I think Villarreal will go through. Obviously, Arsenal would, I think the fans of Arsenal always tend to rate their players very highly, but the actual players themselves are absolutely terrible. They were obviously they just lack quality all throughout the pitch, and obviously against any well organised or tactical team, they're going to struggle, and I think they will struggle. I don't see them going through. And obviously, Doug did. Obviously, he's in the chat now. Doug did call the fact that Villarreal would probably win the competition. And it does look like they're obviously going to meet in the final with ourselves. So I think Villarreal will go through. I wouldn't trust Arsenal at all because they obviously have to win, don't they, in 90 minutes because they lost in.
They need to win 1-0 at least.
Yeah,
they need at least a 1-0 win, same as PSG. They need the same scoreline.
Yeah, I can't see them. I can't see it happen.
Lalo wants to leave. He probably saw us put him in the park. Right, I've got one very quick question before we move on because we still got 2 topics we need to talk about with limited time. People think Arteta has ruined Aubameyang by the treatment of him and playing him out of position. Are we all? Or do people? Martinelli's another one, but people disagree with Arteta's approval with. Has Arteta mistreated these players, or are they just not as good as people make out to be?
I think Arteta's actually controlled these players very well in terms of how he's managed them. I think Aubameyang, he was playing really well for Arteta last season. He scored, 20-plus goals last year. And as soon as he signed that new contract, he is down tools straight away. If anything, it's the players not having any sort of respect for him as a manager. I think I allude back to Jack's comments earlier on. There's certain managers that command a dressing room. Arteta doesn't. He doesn't have that sense of presence yet, so he isn't going to be able to control the situation. Arteta had a brilliant striker in Aubameyang, a brilliant backup in Lacazette. He still used Aubameyang left wing, and Aubameyang was still scoring goals. This year he scored less than 10, something like that. He has been inconsistent all season. As far as I'm concerned, he's the first player Arsenal need to move on.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll move on. We've got 2 more topics to talk about. These are probably the 2 of the best ones. So we're going to move on to Inter Milan winning Serie A. Inter Milan won on the Saturday 2-0. 2-0, which is guaranteed that they win Serie A in first place. So they're currently on 82 points with Atalanta in second place on 69. So they've won the league quite dominantly. Nathan, honestly, this team defensively has been extremely solid all year. Bastroni, De Vrij, and Skriniar at the back, and then I think Martinez and Lukaku up front, and even Marto Darmian, George, and recently I obviously remember him with Hakimi on the right. This Inter Milan team has done very, very well in Serie A, and honestly, if they got through the Champions League group, I think they would have been a good Champions League show too. But it was just would you say that they've done an incredible job for winning the Serie A in this tournament format?
I mean, considering if you look at their squad and it's basically full of Premier League rejects, I think they've done extremely well personally. Conte, he's done it again, took over Juventus when they weren't winning the league, got them winning the league straight away. Came in at Chelsea when they finished 10th in the season before, got them winning the league straight away the next year. And then look at them into Milan. Haven't won a title in over 10 years. Straight away when he comes in, wins them a title. Yes, the team is full of players you could say have failed in the Premier League and some have done actually decent jobs. But I got to say one thing. He has taken advantage of Juventus down in tools this season, and fair play to him. And personally, if it was going to be Inter Milan winning the title, it would have been this year, and he has massively capitalised on it. He has got them the Scudetto.
Paul, the really crazy thing here about Antonio Conte is that he was extremely, extremely, extremely close to leaving Inter Milan there in the summer after they lost that Europa League final. But I have to say, obviously he won the Premier League with us. I think he's obviously one of the best. I think he is still probably one of the best managers in Europe.
Oh yeah, he's done well. He knows the Italian league. Winning. Lukaku's done very well from this season. I think he's second top scorer, isn't he? In Seria A, but you'd say Conte on home turf, he's done really well. So probably one of the not the best, but one of the better managers in European football.
Reece, I'm going to ask you a different question because I know you don't want to speak flawless about Inter Milan, but what happened to
Damn right I don't.
What happened to AC Milan? Why did AC Milan fall off the charts? Did the injuries catch up to them? Was it just consistency, or was it just not having the mentality that Antonio Conte was able to establish?
I think it's a mixture of all three. Milan were top of the league for about 6 months of that season. They were the team that was leading the charge. But I come back to before when I referenced Man United earlier on when we were top of the league. It's just the simple factor of this team hasn't been there yet in terms of winning trophies. They're not yearly yet, so I'm a bit gutted they haven't won the league, but the key blow was when they lost Ibrahimovic to injury. It all started from there. He was out for about a month and a half to 2 months and results dipped. I still think Milan are going to not win the league next year. They could, but I expect them to do a little better. They're going to finish second. I think they'll beat Juventus on Sunday.
Okay. Jack, I don't know if you watched the Seria much or not, so if you want to try to make a comment on it, or if you don't watch it and you're welcome to pass it on.
No, it was good to see them break the dominance of Juventus over the last couple of years. Would you class Ronaldo as being a failure? Yeah, he's got the goals, but obviously Project Ronaldo's failed, especially in the league and the Champions League it has. But Lukaku being fantastic since coming into Milan. I think this season got 21 goals. With 8 assists anyway, and obviously Martinez, the Argentinian up front, he's been their second highest goal scorer with 15 goals and 5 assists. So those two have led the line very well. And Ashley Young, I think he's going to be going to someone in the Prem next season anyway. But yeah, hugely dominant. It's great to see, like if it was the Prem, to see a different team win the league title after the dominance of which Juve have had, mate. But yeah, he's a fantastic world-class manager. Conte, and there's no doubt on that.
George?
Oh yeah, all I've really got to say is that I think Chelsea should buy Romelu Lukaku. He's been absolutely fantastic for Inter Milan. I think that'd be a really good signing for Chelsea. Not Erling Haaland or anyone else. I think Romelu Lukaku would be a good signing for centre forward.
Okay, fair enough. Reece, I'm going to ask you one quick question before we move on. No, Juventus are currently third. They are 3 points ahead of Napoli, who lost at the weekend there to a last minute goal. Do you think there's a chance if Juventus somehow do finish outside the top 4, Parlo gets sacked?
No. I expect them to lose on Sunday if Pirlo has any self-respect for the club that made him. If he has any respect for Milan, that he'll hope that team loses against Milan. Juventus bottle it, that'd be great. Milan can go second. I don't think Pirlo gets sacked. I think it's. I was on another channel the past weekend and I had the same question asked, and I'm going to give the exact same answer. Pirlo's been given not just any job, but one of the hardest in world football, and the fact that people expect him to win a trophy straight away with little to no experience, or even to get in the top 4. I don't think many people would have said, "Oh, Juventus are going to get the top 4 with that aging squad with a new manager." I think you'd be. And then to sack him, I think it'd be quite naive from Juventus. I think Juventus need to give him another season where he is developing a squad. He's trying to implement a style. They need to give him more time, maybe 1 more year. But if they sack him after this, then it'd be quite stupid because they won the cup as well. Bear in mind they won the Coppa Italia again, which is no surprise because it's basically Juventus' favourite trophy because they keep bottling Champions League finals. I think it is very naive to sack him, but if they do sack him, I expect Allegri to be back in there, but I think it's wrong to sack him, but it wouldn't surprise me. Top clubs make decisions if they want to win, but they're going for a project, they're rebuilding. They've got a very good group of players there, especially young players that can take this team forward. It's just a matter of, can Pirlo implement a style? I believe he can, but he needs a little bit of time to do it.
Jack, I'm going to ask you the dumb question of the podcast. Do you want Lautaro Martinez?
Yes, because we just need a goal scorer. Obviously, you get your goals, but it's what we do with Bobby Firmino, mate. I was just going to say then, see what happens when you don't pay the referees and the officials. Juventus start losing league titles, don't they? So it's what happens. You might have to, next season when it comes around, start paying the refs again, like they have done in their history. So. But yeah, I think I've seen a quote from their owner this week. I think they said with Pirlo, if he doesn't get Champions League football, then basically he's not in the job next season. So you know what the ultimatum's being made. But yeah, I think
it'd be harsh of them to. I think it'd be harsh of them to pull the trigger on him after 1 year when he is trying to grow as a manager as well. He's in. The worst thing about it is, and this is the sad part for Pirlo, is he was given the job as the under-23s manager, then he was promoted to the manager's job 24 hours later. So I'm like, he's not had any sort of learning, like he's physically learning on the job, and he's had no managerial experience, and he's had to cope this year in charge of, sadly, the biggest team in Italy in terms of league titles, but they're not bigger than Milan Continental. I'll rub that salt in. But there's a limit of where he's got to go, and it's a shame that he is under so much pressure when, frankly, it's not his fault. If he loses his job, I'll be surprised where he goes next.
We're going to talk about it due to time restraints, but obviously there is talk about Allegri potentially going back. It'll be interesting to see if Juventus decide to go down that path, but we will. Time will only tell. So we're going to move on.
I'll tell you what will happen. If Atletico don't win the league, I think Simeone will move. I think Simeone only wants one job in world football. He wants Inter Milan job. You could easily see Conte going back to Juventus to kickstart the run again. But Simeone has said the only club he wants is Inter Milan after Atletico Madrid. You could end up seeing that happening.
Just think of how defensive minded he'd be in the Italian league. Jesus Christ. It'd be parking, it'd be a 5-5-5-5-5 of his formation.
He'd be heralded.
Okay, so to move on, we're moving on to the final four, which is the Championship playoffs. This is where things get a bit interesting. We'll test everyone's championship. We should test everyone's championship knowledge. So, people need to correct me if I'm wrong, but the four championship clubs are Brentford, Swansea, Bournemouth, and Barnsley. If I'm correct. Yes. Okay.
As it stands at the moment. But things could change, or there could be a bit of movement. As it stands, Barnsley are playing Brentford, and Bournemouth are playing them lot down the road.
Right, I'm going to come to the championship.
I like how he says it. He's like.
But I'm going
down the road.
I'm going to come to the two championship experts last. Okay, because you guys have the most knowledge. You'll take the most time to. You'll have the more understanding of these clubs. George, I can't go game by game again because of time restraints. But who do you think out of those four clubs is going up?
I think Bournemouth out of those ones.
I hate Bournemouth because they always turn up against Chelsea, so they better not come up, or I'm going to be very angry. Jack?
Like I said a couple of weeks ago, mate, I'm hoping Brentford, just the attacking fluidity in which they offer, they have been doing this season. Tony, if there's one player in world football, like it was with Suarez when Liverpool didn't win the league, that man has banged in 30 goals in the Championship. And if they do not get promoted, I'd love Liverpool to have a little tinker, putting a bid in, because I think he's a very good player and he will be getting his move into the Premier League next season. We will be seeing him like they done with obviously the other lads at Aston Villa anyway. His name's gone out yeah, all of them. But I'd love to see Brentford go through. They've bottled it the last couple of seasons yet again. But yeah, I'm going to stick with me guns and go with Brentford.
Reece?
I want to say Brentford as well. It'd be good to have someone different, but to be honest, I'm going to go controversial. I'm going to say Bournemouth are going to win the playoffs, and then it's going to be Bournemouth, Norwich, and Watford to get relegated in the same positions as last season.
The same three clubs that went down, the same three clubs that come back up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I want it to be Brentford because I agree with Jack's sentiment. It's just the way they play football. It's good to watch. Tony, add to his 30 goals, he's got 10 assists as well in the league as well. I don't think anyone's ever had those sort of numbers in the league. It's impressive. If Brentford don't come up, there's going to be an offer, and I think Brentford want at least 40 million for Tony. Play them. I'm not surprised. I'd demand sort of numbers as well, to be honest.
Paul, would you like to see Swansea come up?
No chance. Looking at their form recently, okay, they've only suffered defeat once in the last 6, but they're playing. Yeah, they're not playing well at all. They've played teams who haven't really got anything to play for. They played Derby on the weekend. They were actually 1-0 down in that match and came back to win that one 2-1. Brentford actually played Bournemouth, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and I watched that match, and Brentford absolutely dominated Bournemouth, and I can't remember the score. I think it was 1-0 or 2.
It was a narrow 1-0 win.
It was a 1-0 win, and Brentford looked very good, especially Brentford haven't been playing well prior to these last few weeks. They'd gone off the boil a little bit, but they're up into third position now. Bournemouth, who had done very well last couple of matches, they've slipped up, losing 2 on the bounce against Brentford. Yeah, it was 1-0. And Wycombe, bottom of the table, Wycombe last weekend. Barnsley's bit of the outlier there. I think they're a little bit too inconsistent. They probably haven't got the experience of the last few years. Love to see Brentford go up. They'll probably meet Bournemouth in the final. And if it's a repeat of that game before, then Brentford should go up. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth go up either. But I'm hoping Brentford would. Ivan Toney, phenomenal with Peterborough the year before he joined Brentford. And he's a real handful, Toney. Hopefully we'll see him in the Premier League next season, hopefully with Brentford, because they've been knocking on the door for a few seasons now. So,
Josh, just want to say, Gucci, your player on loan, is to us actually incredible, very good player. Yes, Mark Gucci has a very, very good future ahead of him, and I hope if Swansea are the ones to go up, I hope Swansea take him back on loan, because I think the Premier League experience for him will be absolutely vital. It's good to hear he's doing very well. I know Conor Gallagher's doing very well for West Brom too. So Chelsea Loan Academy doing the job. Nathan, would you pour boiling water over your eyes if Swansea go up?
Absolutely, and I will say this one thing now, especially with their performances recently. I mean, they're very, very patchy form. 2 wins in 6.
It would be typical, though, Nathan, of Swansea. They spawn everything. They seem to get all the luck, so they could go up.
Look at 2011. We were favourites to go up.
Hell on earth again, South Wales.
It would.
If they do go up, just seeing your faces next year for streams next year is going to be fucking golden.
But all I will say is, can I even put it? We're still a bigger club. There we go. It's out there. Anyway, moving on to my summary about all this stuff, right? Start with Brentford. Great form at the moment. They're probably going in. They're the informed team going into the playoffs at the moment. Absolutely
horrible.
superb.
Stadium, Nathan, is horrible.
Was
their new stadium?
Yes, it's a massive downgrade. Very, very disappointing. But playing really well, they should be going into it well. Barnsley, up and down as of late, they really pulled into especially the second half of the season. Started poorly, but are playing really well. Only thing with them at the moment would be that they have a young squad, and I think they need another season in the Championship to establish, maybe getting into maybe winning the league, you could say, with another year. A bit more investment as well. But this year, I think it'd be too early for them, to be honest. Bournemouth, they have massively, in my opinion, they've underachieved this season. Had a very poor run around Christmas, Jason Tindall getting sacked, and then they brought in Jonathan Woodgate, of all people, who failed at Middlesbrough miserably. And I'm still not convinced by him, and I don't think he's going to do well enough in the playoffs. And I can't see Bournemouth going up. They do. I'd say they have the best squad possibly out of the teams around there. It's just they're not. It's not gelling for them. And then Swansea coming in very, very poorly amongst the teams in the playoffs. And if certain decisions had actually gone correctly, I don't think they'd be in there, to be honest. And if they do go up, God forbid they do go up. I hope it doesn't happen. With the squad they have and the lack of investment that they are going to get, I will tell you now that they are going to go down on worse points than Derby.
Just going to say, very quickly, if Swansea do not go up, I'll promise everyone will get Swans away days on for an absolute rant, because I know he'll not be very pleased about that, so I will make sure to make that a promise. Doug's asking for everyone who's going down.
Rotherham, Wycombe and Derby.
You said Rooney's getting relegated?
Yeah, he's
sadly
5 games on the bounce. Derby have lost. I'm just saying in the phone, guys. Is that or more?
It's more than that. It's more than that, and they have been absolutely atrocious. I mean, we played them a few weeks back, absolutely destroyed them 4-0. They got a good team there, quite a few former Cardiff players, and I've got to put it out there, guys, but it's a massively underachieving team. It doesn't gel. They used to be up there for a few years. They've had their financial issues, of course. Mel Morris, some fans aren't happy with him either. Wayne Rooney, he's got a massive job on his hands. He hasn't had a transfer window, which is what you've got to remember, guys. But Sheffield Wednesday, they've been massively on form. Believe it or not, if Sheffield Wednesday hadn't had their points deduction, Derby would be second bottom right now. They're playing each other this weekend in the last game of the championship season.
Isn't it? It's
Super Sunday.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yes. And I think Sheffield
Derby
Wednesday
might
are going
nick
to
it.
3-0.
I think Derby might nick it like a late goal, but in all fairness, like I don't see Derby surviving this. I'd like them obviously because Wayne Rooney's been in charge, but if Derby sack him, that would be crap. Because obviously, like you said, he didn't have a transfer window. He needs to be able to try and build this team any way he can. If he goes into League One with Derby, I reckon he would get them promoted within a season. I think he would. If he gets him a full summer to implement his style of playing this team, I think he'd be fine.
Well, you've got to remember as well with the Derby squad, he's got the best goalkeeper in the Championship, you could say. There's some issues at the back, you could say, but they have lost key players such as Jayden Bogle, youngsters going out of that squad. The midfield is okay, and they've got a good attacking structure going forward. They just need to build on it now.
Right, himself up front, won't he?
Right, so here we go. This
turns up for Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday, and if Callum Patterson puts himself around up front as well, then Derby could be in trouble, couldn't he?
All right, so here's my final question to all of you. So I'm going to ask you to pick your favourite game that you have watched for your football club this season, the one that you've been most satisfied with. So, Nathan and Paul, I'm going to guess it's beating Swansea in the South Wales Derby.
Absolutely.
That's my favourite game, but I think the best victory was probably, I think, didn't we beat Watford?
2-1.
Win against Watford was very good.
Vicarage Road, yeah.
That was under Fingerball, wasn't it?
Neil Harris,
Mr. Harris, yes.
Just to say, Paul, I just said, but when we started this podcast, I called him that he was going to get sacked. He did not agree with me, but I seen it coming from a mile away.
The thing that went wrong for Neil Harris was we just got a spell of injuries, and then apparently, I don't know whether this is true, and you could possibly see it as well, but he did end up losing the dressing room.
Reese, what would be your favourite game for Manchester United this season, and your worst? The one that you've hated the most?
I'm going to say my favourite game hands down has got to be the win versus Leeds. 6-2 hands down. Like, we absolutely battered them, and the good thing about it is it was at home as well. First time Leeds have been back in the top flight. They come and play United at Old Trafford. That was my favourite game, but the best game for me all season was literally yesterday. Rangers 4, Celtic 1. That was pure golden. So if there's any Celtic fans in the chat, suck on that. So that's for me all season. Worst game. There's two of them. Level on par. Manchester United 1, Spurs 6. The other one was losing to Sheffield United. Those two for me were the worst performances all season. So I'm going to have to go with those.
What Rangers? What would be the St Johnstone Scottish Cup game, maybe?
Yeah, hands down. It'd be that or the circumstances behold the Slavia Prague game.
Fair enough. Jack, your favourite and most disliked Liverpool game of the season?
All of them, mate. Fucking all of them. Why have you asked me this question? I'd have to go with the Dublin, the one of very rare wins this season, the 7-0 Crystal Palace game, and obviously the Villa carnage that was, even though we had Van Dijk playing at the back and he got turned inside out. I still have nightmares to the day. So yeah, those two, mate. Move on from there as well. Yeah, no.
That was beautiful to watch. Just to let you know, I watched that game and couldn't
stop
laughing.
How it coincided with, obviously, I had a word on Facebook going, Man United. At least I didn't do it after the video, but then Liverpool got absolutely battered like an hour later, and you're like, oh shit! I take down all the social media posts.
And George.
I think Jvsh has picked some good ones there. I think best one for me would have been the 3-1 against Spurs when we beat them. I think it was mainly because of the sense of injustice, obviously, with what happened with VAR and obviously Son and all of that stuff for that first goal, and obviously the way that we responded in that second half. It was really nice to see. We played some scintillating football in particular, really tore Spurs apart. And then in terms of the worst sort of game, I think would sort of taking it slightly away from the Premier League would be when we lost 3-2 against Leipzig. That really was
as well.
Yeah, I mean the Leipzig game though was particularly disgusting because obviously it was the when we went out, and I think the manner of that defeat was absolutely despicable. Obviously going so far down, obviously 2-0 down so quickly, and then obviously Ollie taking quite a while to make subs, and then obviously going 3-0 down, and then Paul Pogba only coming on and obviously trying to save it, and he almost did, but just too little, too late. So, and obviously we're now in the sort of Mickey Mouse Farmers League, which we're hopefully going to win, but it's no substitute for the Champions League. And seeing in particular, just seeing how well obviously Liverpool did relatively well, and obviously Chelsea and Man City might now make the final and might win it. That's particularly disappointing because obviously United were one of those 4 teams, and obviously the odd one out really that didn't make it into the latter stages. So yeah, for me it was that game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would like to add as well, my worst game, I don't know whether I mentioned it, but it has to be either losing the South Wales derby at home 2-0, or when we lost Sheffield Wednesday, we were bottom of the league 5-0.
Choice.
I'll name my favourite Chelsea and Glenavon ones, just to be fair. So my favourite Chelsea one, this is a difficult one because we don't have... I'm trying to think of any
game. What's it be?
Beating Man City in the FA Cup, surely.
I'm trying to think of all the games. Trying to think if there's any games on the Lampard that were really satisfying. I probably will go for the Atletico Madrid away game when Giroud scored over heck. I think
that was a big result.
I think going away to Atletico Madrid and beating them in Spain was an unbelievable. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Spain. It wasn't Spain. Yeah.
Good choice. It was in Spain. Yeah.
And then obviously my City against the West Brom game. I don't think I need to say it. Don't need to say anymore. But my favorite Glenavon game was when we bet league leaders Linfield 3-2 there at the weekend, and then and then 3 days later we played the Irish Cup, which is equivalent to the FA Cup, when we lost to bottom side Dungannon. I think it was 2-1, and they only won 2 games since the turn of the year. So. And we played absolutely awfully. But anyway, that ends the podcast for tonight.
I'll tell you what else were crap games. Will be crap games before we go. Man City versus Man United versus Chelsea. You lot didn't give us a game. You just parked the bus for 90 minutes and it bored me to death.
I think as a neutral, just one of the best games I saw was obviously Bayern versus PSG, that first leg. I thought that was an absolutely astonishing game. End-to-end stuff. I thought Bayern were obviously terribly unlucky again with Juve promoting up front instead of Lewandowski, but that game was absolutely amazing. So I think that's probably, as a neutral, that's probably the best game I've seen this season.
I think for Pete, his worst game's got to be getting spanked 2-0 off us, but that's about it.
I think Leicester's 5-2 victory over Manchester City was very good. Jamie Vardy hat-trick in that one as well. That was a good watch.
West Brom smashing Chelsea was quite a good game for a neutral fan. Like that was quite an exquisite watch.
I was just one of them, like looking at what's happening. It was like saying that we
totally didn't see it coming.
Beaten by Burnley, everyone at home this season. Don't even know.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching another episode of the World of Football Podcast. It's been absolutely great. It's been a fantastic episode, plenty to talk about. A longer show than what we normally would do, but I hope I appreciate all of you guys coming and tuning in. Obviously, there's been no Doug here for obviously, as we said, so we put on the show for him, and obviously make sure to support Doug by liking, commenting, sharing, and doing everything else in between. And we appreciate you all taking your time out to come and watch this, and I hope I've managed to do a good job. Obviously, I don't have as much of a good Beaters dog to kind of act like him or have the Scottish accent, but I support the Better Football team. So we are going to we are going to leave it there tonight, guys. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and we will return next Monday for more football and more controversial opinions from Reese. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you later.
Controversy creates cash.